or so.
we can do that. I'm ready to go. I'm excited. I got a lot of things I got to
Taylor,
say.
the clock's very important to us.
Look, I saw Bobby Miller pitch last night. I'm all in. Let's go.
Damn.
He was pretty good. We'll get to him. We'll get to the Dodgers are going to win the series in Atlanta. Might sweep, Slee. Go into Atlanta, sweep the Braves, best team in the National League, or at least they were till yesterday.
We love sweeps
Yeah,
here.
sweeps are well, not so, we like certain sweeps.
Yeah,
we don't like all of them.
in certain ways.
Certain situations.
Certain ways we like them.
How are you doing? I was thinking about you yesterday that you weren't either doing a Lakers talk, you weren't getting ready for another Laker game. It's kind of like the day after for you, where you're just kind of trying to wrap your head around what you do at night now, having had a night gig for 6 months.
So I think the about 8 months, by the way, about 8 months.
By the way, look at my face. I'm sincerely sorry that I shared at you 2 months because I know.
It was
8 months.
Okay. John said something yesterday. Remember when he was talking about Braun? And he said, I could tell you right now, I aged I took years off of my life this year.
Right. Shortened his life.
I looked at him twice. I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, all right, so it wasn't just John feeling it. And
were you feeling it too?
I don't know what the hell to tell you. It was just one night of not having anything. And I feel like I went on vacation for 3 weeks. And I can't tell you why.
I can.
I did nothing special last night. I just kind of more chilled, relaxed.
Did you have a glass of wine?
I did have a glass of wine.
Yeah, sure.
Grilled again. It's twice in the last 3 days.
Are you using my pan?
The pan... Here's the concern with the cast
Pan's in the back
iron.
of the cabinet, isn't it?
No, yeah. Yeah, it's back there.
Come on,
But
Slee.
no, here's the problem.
fine.
Guys,
I
here's the
understand.
issue. Here's the issue. There's a couple issues. First off, that's a lot of work, and I just don't want to do that much work right now. I just don't. I just go to the grill.
Beyond that, it's not that much work.
On the electric stove,
I keep forgetting
it's
about
a lot of freaking work.
You're right.
And the place is small, so we're basically at Woodstock 1999 with the amount of smoke that comes out.
You got a Motley Crue show.
It's a 4th of July show inside of our kitchen with the amount of smoke
Okay,
that's there.
so you grill outside?
Yeah, I grill outside.
Okay, what kind of grill do you have?
It's a community grill.
Is it gas?
Yeah, it's gas. Yeah.
Put the pan on the grill.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
that's actually a really good idea.
Because then you don't have to clean the grill afterwards or deal with any bits that are left on the grill from someone else.
And you'll get the sear. You'll get that hard sear.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
But I did grill a little bit last night. Kind of chilled, kicked back, went for a little bit of a walk. Ribeye again. I know. I got to stop with the red meat. I got to stop with the red meat.
Are you iron deficient or something? You need
red meat should probably be like once a week.
Yeah, but you love salmon. Why don't you make some salmon?
That goes good in the pan too, Slee. Just say.
So the amount of steak that I bought on Sunday was good for 2 portions.
Okay.
So I used 1 portion on Sunday, another portion yesterday. I don't even know what day it is. It's Tuesday.
Today's Wednesday.
Tuesday, I used the other portion. That's pretty much the only reason why. But to answer your question, yeah, it was kind of it was actually really nice. It was really nice. The Celtics Heat were on. I had sort of interest, but not really that much interest. Your boy is ridiculous. Yeah, that was. It's It was
you
like,
talking my boy being Gabe Vincent?
No, I'm talking about your Dodger boy,
Bobby Miller.
Yeah.
Oh, he was terrific.
Yeah.
We'll talk. Yeah. No, look.
50 games in for the Dodgers, by the way.
Yeah,
I got some questions for you and Berg. We could do a little bit later.
Okay. Speaking of Berg, we got an Ask Berg coming up at 10:45. So make sure that you send those questions.
We ask like somebody else if they want to do it. Berg,
he volunteered.
No. Berg just walked in and said, "Guys, 10:45 today." I'm like, "All right, Greg."
He is a boss man.
He didn't do that.
Boss man Greg, for sure. So Ask Berg, send your questions in. Of course, you can call 877-710-ESPN. And it is
George Strait on
Pandora?
On Pandora.
Yeah.
Why not just throw that on a little bit too?
How did you find that?
I don't know.
I mean, it's not like George Strait's a new artist.
Yeah, I actually have no idea. I think one time.
You ever heard of Elvis?
Was it recommended to you? Was it like, oh,
no, it wasn't recommended either.
This?
I think one time.
That's just the genius of Pandora.
My girl is she's not the biggest reggae fan. It's not for everybody.
What's she like?
George Strait.
She likes a little bit of country, a little bit of more pop and stuff like that.
She's Marie Osmond. She's a little bit country. She's a little bit rock and roll.
So I was like, all right, let me try something different. I put country, and then all of a sudden it just started showing all that. I'm like, let's go George Strait.
Yeah, no, it's a good choice. It's about as classic as you're going to find.
Found myself singing. What are you doing now?
You probably have it's one of these things when you're doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
And the Lakers, what did you say? Put 102 games? 105 games. Why do I keep shooting you by a little bit? 100. I gave you 6 months when it was 8.
You don't want to give it.
I do. This is why I'm asking. Look, I like to pimp you a lot, but not in this because I've done it and I know what it means to get to the end of the line of one of those things. You're going to be like, okay, this is great. I don't ever want the Lakers season to start again. And then next Wednesday is going to roll around. You'll be like, I think I'm ready for camp.
I've got nothing to add to that.
Yeah. Is that about right?
Listen, this has happened before. It was a fourth season. So, and this one was I guess you could call it the first season where it started on time. There was no interruptions. And there was a playoff run.
It was a traditional season.
It was a traditional season. So it was more of just a tradition. And when you the beauty would have been if they were playing for 3 more weeks, you got the NBA Finals and you kind of take it from there. But I'm with you. There is definitely that kind of the okay, you exhale for a quick second, and then it's June 14th, and you're like, so you got any games coming up?
The reason I know that is because I was watching JB and DeMarco on their YouTube channel yesterday, seeing the Rams practice. I'm like, yeah, let's go. I'm ready for this.
I went to do. I was doing Lakers Talk Daily yesterday. And Bronny was in the studio. Adam Bronstein, who obviously used to be here, now with the Los Angeles Rams. And he was telling me, he's like, yeah, coming up at 2, they got the live stream, this, that. Yeah. And I kind of looked at him for a second, like, yeah, we're not that far away from the NFL season starting.
No, and it was a beautiful day in Thousand Oaks yesterday. They had helmets on. It was football.
Yeah.
So that's around the corner, so I certainly understand. So let's start right here. And Laker fans, I'm not just asking Slee this question. I'm asking you this question as well. I want your feedback on it. 877-710-ESPN. Of course, you can reach out on Twitter at Alan Sliwa, at Travis Rogers, Emily and Taylor as well. It's the day after the day after. Yesterday was just kind of the finality of, all right, it's over. They got swept. Jokic was awesome. Nuggets probably the best team that we've seen all season, like et cetera, et cetera. And oh, by the way, LeBron James, I don't want to say dropped a bomb at the end of it because I don't think anybody really thinks he's going to retire, but It was an interesting way to wrap up the press conference with by the way, I got a lot of things to think about. Mm-hmm. It was classic LeBron.
Yep.
But here we are a day later, and just the finality of it is more kind of the weight of it all
soaking
in. What's the takeaway from this season? What is the takeaway? Because I think we talked about it during Super Crosstalk yesterday with Mason in Ireland, and I think that there are a lot of different ways to look at this, and I think they're all basically true.
Okay.
One of the ways to look at this is they got to the Western Conference Finals and gave a very, very good Denver Nuggets team a good, hard fight. They were in 4 consecutive games. Now, they lost all 4 of those games, but there were none of those games where it felt like the Lakers didn't have a chance to win them. They had a chance to win all 4 of those games, or at least it felt like it. And you're in the Western Conference Finals. You're one of the 4 final teams. You can feel pretty good about where you are heading into next season because you've already proven that you're pretty good. That's one way to look at it. Anthony Davis, LeBron James played a ton of basketball down the stretch, really for the first time in a long time, where they've both been on the court consistently for the better part of a couple of months. That's very good news.
Since the bubble.
Since the bubble.
Yeah.
The other thing is, and this is the part that we stumbled into during Super Crosstalk, if the Lakers play 5 bad minutes against Minnesota, in the overtime, remember AD makes the foul, Mike Conley hits all 3 of those free throws, it goes to overtime, you're like, what in the world?
Yeah.
They were fine, they won in overtime, they're the number 7
I know
seed.
what you're saying.
Lose that game, win the other play-in game, you're the 8th seed, you run into Denver in the first round, and if it goes the same way, which it probably would have, you're out in the first round with a first-round sweep, and now you're thinking, hey, wait a second, we're a long way away from being a championship team. We got a lot of work to do to figure out where we go. I think both of those things are true. I think that they're both accurate. You had a guy break the all-time scoring record. You had a rookie head coach. You have a star player in Anthony Davis that at times looks like one of the best in the leagues and at times looks like the best version of a number 2 player in the league. what is the takeaway for do you feel good? Do you feel conflicted? Do you feel like, hey, that's fool's gold. Don't get suckered into thinking that you're closer than you actually are. There's so many different ways to look at the season that we just had.
So is my simplifying it, if you're asking, was this a successful season or not? Is that simplifying it?
Well, I think that's too simple. Because that's part of it, but it's just what happens from here. Because what do you actually have? You could tell me went to the Western Conference Finals. Yeah, yep. You did. Feels good. You could tell me you got a really good draw in the 2 first rounds you got. Maybe the best 2 teams you could have had for what the Lakers were going to do. I believe that too.
So I'm going to do my best to try to kind of recap a little bit my expectations coming into the season, and here we are 36 hours later after the Lakers get eliminated. I don't know what you thought walking in, but I did not think this season was going to be that much different than the year before.
I agree with you.
LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook, nothing happened in the summer to think, watch out for these 3 guys. Who they were the season prior, I thought was going to be the same thing. Season starts, and
it was worse.
I also did not think they were going to start off 2-10.
It was actually worse.
You just kind of actually thought they were going to probably hover around 500. Yep. That was at least that's how I viewed it. Darvin Ham, listen, I liked him, but I have no idea how he's going to be as a head coach. So I was waiting to kind of get some answers there. Mm-hmm. As the season progressed, it looked like, yeah, they're probably just not going to make the playoffs. They're probably not going to make the play-in tournament. I don't know the direction that this team is going in. You know, Pelinka, why didn't you make a trade a little bit earlier? Are you really just looking at the 2 first-round picks? Okay, but you're living in the moment today because you have LeBron James. It's really tough to also plan for the future. Trade deadline happens. And the Lakers, you said something, I think I want to emphasize this, because it's not just what did the Lakers bring. Sometimes it's addition by subtraction.
100%.
What did you lose?
Yes.
And what you got rid of, it could just so easily change the culture. It could change the temperature. The clouds parted, all that stuff, right?
Sure.
And then all of a sudden, you got a chance to see a Lakers team that, at post-trade deadline, I don't know how good they are, but I know they really compete. They fight. They play defense. And they're kind of winning games now.
And they had a team.
They had a team. They had pieces that actually fit. But you could have all that. Are you winning games or are you not? They're starting to win games. Mm-hmm. They're starting to beat teams that, okay, that's interesting. That's another good team that they took down. And then we got to, I think, the moment that you just mentioned. You got to the play-in tournament. And by the way, they stumbled at the end. And they just, they ended up with a 7 seed.
And they weren't playing all that well.
They weren't playing all that well. And you could tell they were just gassed. They were tired just to get to this point. Let's do this when we come back, because I think there is, the way I look at this season, there are Laker fans out there, and I get what comes with being a Los Angeles Laker. They're not hanging division titles. They're not hanging Western Conference. You made it to the Western Conference. They're hanging championship banners only. I think there's still a way to talk about this Lakers season, and Laker fans, up to you of whether you think it was successful or it wasn't. And if you want to chime in, 877-710-ESPN. But I just I'm going to give, when we come back, my interpretation of what I think is a successful season or not. We do that coming up next. Stay right here. Travis and Sliwa Show, 710 ESPN. There are drivers on the road who decide not to buckle their seatbelts. Some of those drivers will be ticketed by law enforcement. Some of those drivers who crash won't make it home. Buckling up is the single most effective way to protect your life in the event of a crash and make it home safely to your loved ones. Don't risk it, click it or ticket. Paid for by NHTSA.
The fun The show that begins 9 hours of LA sports talk all day long. Each weekday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. This is Travis and Sliwa on 710 ESPN.
I figure you as Vince Neil in the middle of your kitchen with the smoke going, the flames are kicking up, and you're trying to make your steak in the pan.
Guy Freddy.
Guy Freddy, indeed.
Neighbors are just walking by like, what the hell's going on in there? Why is Rookie and Lady Slee on the balcony? Everything's fine.
Does he bother you while you try to cook?
No, he's pretty actually. When I grill, it's hilarious because it's a courtyard. It's all closed off, right? So he's got room, and there's plants and stuff like that you can just kind of roam in. He just starts, I don't know, these are dogs, right? He just starts to zoomies out of nowhere, so he's just running all over the place, comes back, his tongue is out like, I'm a little tired now. I'm like, I don't know what you're doing.
You lay down on the grass or something and just chill out?
No, he just runs. And then when the steak is cooked, he is the most behaved dog you'll ever see in your life because he knows he's going to get a bite, he sits down. He basically crosses does the sign of the cross. He starts praying, singing Kumbaya, all for just a little
throwing
pace.
Little scraps over your shoulder on the floor, and he scoops them up.
He gets a good amount of.
My dog growing up, her name is Penny. I had a couple dogs growing up, but Penny, I have this one story with her. She's like a little terrier, so she's not that big. So she's like, she could fit on my lap. And at one point in time, I was just like sitting in my kitchen, and she is a beggar. She begs for any food that ever comes up whenever we're cooking anything. So I'm eating a piece of pizza, and for some reason, I just like put the pizza down by my hip for 1 second, and she grabs the entire pizza, runs out the door, eats the rest of the pizza, and yeah, that's probably not the best thing for a dog, but
a small dog too, right?
Yes, a small dog. She was fine in the end. It was just a cheese pizza. It wasn't anything crazy on it, but yeah. So I don't know. I've learned to guard my food around dogs nowadays.
We had a dog as a kid growing up as well, and my mom made a birthday cake. I forget who it was for. I know it wasn't for me because it would have been more traumatic had it been for me, but she made a cake, left it on the kitchen table or the counter or whatever, and I don't know, went to answer the phone when people would call each other back in the 80s or whatever it was. The dog jumped up onto the counter and ate the entire in the time it took my mom to walk out of the room and back in a minute and a half.
Respect.
Gone. And it's like someone had detonated a chocolate cake bomb in the middle of the kitchen.
You know what I love about that? I love that they basically, that's literally what they live for. They live for that chance to eat. And anybody who has a dog is the same exact thing. They could eat a whole plate of whatever it is, and then you start eating, and they're looking at you like they've never ate before. They haven't eaten in 18 hours.
I don't know what it's like to be a dog. Imagine how terrible you would feel if you were Penny and you're a little terrier and you ate a whole pizza, or you were.
It's worth it.
My dog was a decent sized dog. It was like an 80-pound dog. It was a Gordon Center. It was a big dog. But if you ate an entire chocolate cake, you'd want to jump in front of a train. You'd like, I never want to do this again in my life. Dog was like, yeah, what?
And if the next day you put a whole chocolate cake in front of it, it's going to do it again.
But I was on the phone. I didn't hear this. But chocolate's like one of the worst things to give a dog.
No, chocolate you can't. Yeah.
That, raisins.
It ate the entire cake.
Oof.
Like not just a piece of cake,
a
cake. Like think two-layer chocolate frosting, happy birthday written on the top, gone.
I could have a plate of whatever, and I'm walking to go sit, and Rookie's licking the air. I'm like, what are you doing?
It's the aromas. He's getting the essence.
I'm just saying, maybe something lands on my tongue.
If you did a good job. He's anticipating his meal. Let's try a phone call right here. Let's go to Downey and Jason. Jason, you're on with Trav and Slee. What's up, Jay?
What's going on, guys? So, proud is the one word I will describe to this Lakers season. Now, unlike Al, I'm the same way. I only talk about banners. We don't hang Western Conference banners. I always saw the Clippers quit hiding our selfies. But, man, when this team started 2-10, 0.3 percentage to make the playoffs, we didn't get to 500 till about, March, April, and they still made the Western Conference Finals. I'm very proud. They could have just turned it over. They could have shut down AD and LeBron, but they didn't. The dude played through an injury, and not only that, the whole time we kept saying, 2024, when Westbrook's off the book, when he's off the book. Now that he's off and Pelinka did work, I'm really excited for next season, guys.
Jason, appreciate it, man. Thank you for calling. Trav, I think there's two ways to look at it. You can look at it because I would describe this past season as a successful season based upon what my expectations were coming in. And again, I get it. This is sometimes, I think there's always going to be a division of Laker fans that are going to say, what do you mean that was successful? Mm-hmm. So now all of a sudden getting swept against the Denver Nuggets, you consider that successful? You got 17 NBA championships. You should have been fighting for number 18. You were 4 games away from making the NBA Finals. I get all that. I don't look at it that way. I think I'm able to piece what the expectations were and what they accomplished. What's a separate conversation, and I know this is just naturally going to come up, do you feel confident with the team they have moving forward?
Right.
Because if this year you got to the Western Conference Finals, and the question now is, where that kind of came out of nowhere, the question now is, okay, can this roster now go get you to the NBA Finals? Can you actually go compete for an NBA championship? And I think that's a question that you're presenting, that a couple different things just didn't go your way.
Yeah.
Then is it fool's gold? Are we looking at something where you think it's sustainable?
It's both. Mm-hmm. It's both. And I think this is where it gets both super fun and interesting and a little bit scary, right? Because I agree with you. I think that this was a successful season when you take into context of what the expectations were and where the team was at roughly the halfway point. It's a bad team. It's a bad team with bad energy. It was the pieces didn't fit well together. Darvin was given a roster that clearly didn't work. That there was obviously some personal stuff going on. And not that
and
Russell
he had his own issues too,
for sure. Mm-hmm. And he was he's a brand new head coach.
Trying to figure
he's
stuff
figuring
out.
it out on the fly, and that's a challenge under the best of circumstances. And those were not the best of circumstances. That they went from that to, and I'm glad you brought it up again, to a different team. Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt, and D'Angelo Russell weren't the reasons that they got to the Western Conference Finals. It was the removal of the Westbrooks and the Beverleys of the world that I think probably had a Rui. Notice I did not put him in there. The acquisition of Rui was incredibly important, and that was a big deal. But they did, and the pieces fit well together. Austin Reeves was getting a lot more minutes now that Russell Westbrook was gone. He developed into not just a good player, but a very good player.
17
starter.
a game in the playoffs.
Really nice addition to this team. You got to see that. You got to a point in of the season where I don't think anybody, even unless you are literally a delusional Laker fan who you always think you're going to turn it, we're just one more day, and this is going to turn around. Okay, fine. Good for you. I'm happy you see the world like that. But most Laker fans, they're maxed out. If they can get into the play-in, then we'll just see what happens. Well, it's kind of exactly what did happen, only they got a really good draw. Good. Nobody's good. They took advantage of a really good draw. Beat a Memphis team that was injured and kind of dysfunctional. They beat a Golden State Warriors team that was older, tired, coming off of a championship defense, all of these things, and Clay didn't play well. Draymond was kind of all over the place.
Bad matchup for the Warriors.
And then they just finally ran into a really good team that beat them 4 in a row. That's a success. It would be a failure if this was a team that coming into the season, you think, look, they need to go to this is a championship caliber team. The season before was a failure because you're thinking, hey, they got Russell Westbrook, and it was just a disaster.
33-49.
It was a disaster. Just across the board, it's a disaster. That's a failure. This was not. You got beat by a better team. You didn't blow it. You got beat. You can live with that. You don't like it, but you can live with it. It was a successful season. That is entirely different from now what? And look, it's over. Right? So now it's into the now what portion of it. Now what with LeBron James? Now what with Anthony Davis? Now what with Reeves and Hachimura and Russell and Kyrie and all of these other variables that we talk about? This is the exciting part. It's the scary part because if you tweak it a little bit wrong, you're kind of, not maybe where you were with Russell Westbrook, but you're in that weird mix again. You get a little unlucky with injuries, you're going through the same exact deal all over again. There are so many different things between now and when they start again. I don't know what it's going to look like. But the bones of this team are exponentially better than the bones from the team they had a year ago.
Part of the question you're going to ask yourself is, all right, well, what if they had a training camp together? This exact roster. What if they had a full training camp together? What if they had a chance to start out the season where they're playing basically 82 games together? How much better would their record be? What happens with home court if they end up starting the season? How many more games will they have won, which then positions them to be a 2 seed or a 3 seed? and now you're facing teams on the other side, and you do have home court advantage, and continuity grows.
I think that's the biggest thing.
I'm going to give you an example of, a player that we talked a little bit about him yesterday. I'm not the biggest D'Angelo Russell fan, right? His style, I don't know how much of a winner D'Angelo Russell is. D'Lo had some. I do. D'Lo had some moments in the playoffs that he should get credit for. Okay, well, what happens if you start the season, it's the exact same roster? How much of a benefit is that to D'Angelo Russell? How much is it how much does it not change anything? Beasley gets 82 games. Okay, hey, now he's not put in a quote-unquote pressure situation right out the gate where you got to deliver. Beasley, if you don't, you got somebody else coming in to take your place. I don't know how much it would change, but I feel like the team would be better. I think there would be more continuity. My question is, would that team have enough talent to go beat some of these other teams in the Western Conference? I think that's going to continue to be the conversation in the offseason.
All right, let's try Josh in San Diego. Joshua, you're on with Trav and Slee. What's up?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on. So just real quick, I think that you look at the whole season, if you're looking at it from the eyes of a 10-year-old child, you're looking at the Lakers and you're saying, hey, this team is they're on their way. I believe in the play-in tournament, all these new rules, and, of course, you see the team from the bubble and their growth and their change and everything like that. It's great. From a basketball perspective, I had some questions at the beginning of the season. They did not have an identity, the Lakers, on either side of the ball. And after the trades, of course, you could definitely see that teams did not want to play them because they were one of the top defenses, I believe, number one defense all season. And then lastly, as a Lakers fan, I'm completely happy. I mean, you go down to the number one team in the Western Conference, that's it.
Appreciate it, Josh. Completely happy, no, but satisfied with what happened, with where you started and where you got to. I think that's what it is for me, at least. That they got about as much as you could reasonably expect from this team. And maybe beyond reasonably. They got more than you could have reasonably expected. When they made the deals, when they finally got a team together, it was, hey, do they have enough runway left to get in? They did. Once they got in, it's can they win a round? They won 2. Mm-hmm. Can they beat the best team in the league? No. And look, Jokic is the best player in the league and is playing like it. He's got a number 2 that was not only the second best player on that team, he was the second best player in the whole series. Yeah. Losing to them is not shameful. It's disappointing, but it's not like, man, had they lost to Memphis, it would have been, really? Though they can't. Their guy's getting suspended every other day. This guy won't shut up, Dylan Brooks, and this guy can't make a shot. Losing to the Nuggets is not embarrassing. It's not It's just disappointing that you're out, but they're better than the Lakers are. And
I'll say this, too. A lot of it is how you lose. Were they losing to the Denver Nuggets, and every time they lost, were you saying to yourself, these franchises are so – look, Denver's a better team, but it's not like Lakers were losing by 20 every game.
No.
Game 2, opportunity. Game 1, opportunity. Game 3, give that all to Denver.
Yeah.
Game 4, opportunity. The better team always finds a way to win. They were the better team, but you also didn't feel like the Lakers were in a completely different – the Phoenix Suns got outclassed, even though they won a couple of games. But they got outclassed. You never really felt like they were in that series against them.
No, the Lakers, oddly, I think, were more competitive with the Nuggets than the Suns, even though the Suns won a couple of games. Because
weird.
Devin Booker shot 80% for 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an exaggeration. He shot 80% for 2 games.
Well, D'Lo shot 8%.
Well, there's a little bit of a difference right there. A little bit of a difference. All right. So nobody thinks LeBron's retiring. So why did he say what he said? That's coming up next. It's Travis Slee, 710 ESPN.
Heating and Air is celebrating 20 years in the industry. I want to make this very simple. You're not going to always need them. If you got a plumbing issue or HVAC issue, heating and air conditioning, you might not need them today. You might not need them tomorrow, but when you do need them, PowerProPlumbing.com. They're the best in the industry. They pay such close attention to their customers. They have 26,000 great reviews through some of these different apps and websites. They're all about great people, great service, great attitude. I've got a chance here over the last 6-7 years to really get to know the owner of the company, Raul Rodriguez, and that's kind of their whole principle and their foundation is make sure that the customers get what they need, They are professionals. You will walk away with such a fantastic experience. I'm going to emphasize it again. You might not need them today. You might not need them tomorrow. But when you do, you have a plumbing issue or any issue with your heater or air conditioning, PowerProPlumbing.com. That's PowerProPlumbing.com.
The fun way to drive home is with
So we're a week away from the Mandy's award voting closing, okay? So you only have 1 week left to cast your vote. So you can do that at ESPNLA.com. But we all know the main event, what we really, really want to win, is obviously Travis as Man of the People. So, Trav, have you saved any cats from each trees lately? Have you helped an old lady cross the street? Like, what Man of the People type things have you done
he
last
doesn't
week?
really say it.
Well,
it's more
say,
other people that come out and say it for him.
As an aspiring man of the people, I think it would be out of line for me to toot my own horn, so to speak, to try to campaign is very un-man of the people like. So I will just tell you that over the last weekend or so, I had a wonderful family weekend, got to celebrate my dad's 75th birthday. I was the taco guy for the weekend. It was great. Got to spend time with my my aunt and my cousins and my brother and
He's
my
a family
niece
man.
and all of those sorts of things. So it was just it was a wonderful, I don't know if it was an everyman or man of the people moment, but it was a wonderful moment that I got to spend with friends and
I got a
family.
funny text last week. You didn't have the show on Friday.
Right.
So it was sent to me later in the day on Thursday after we did our show when we were reading off some of those tweets. Cousin Slee sent me a text. He said, one time, Sweet James got in a car accident. The first thing he did was call Travis for advice.
That, you know what I would do if he called me? I'd tell him it's 1-800-9-million. Call it yourself. 1-800-900-0000.
That's pretty funny. By the way, you could vote ESPNLA.com. It's all presented by Power Pro Plumbing. Go on there. You have literally a list of every single category, best personality, show of the year, best producer, all that. It's all on ESPNLA.com.
And while you're doing that, you can fire off an Ask Greg, Ask Berg. Greg Bergman is going to be our guest, Ask Sleer, coming up in about 10 minutes from right now. So go ahead and send those to me at Travis Rogers. Couple of interesting responses here. The questions that we've been talking about is, what was that season? Where do you go from here? Like kind of the day after the emotion of having it all come to an end, you try to look at it a little more clear-eyed as to what's coming up next. Two different schools of thought here. I'm going to start with the positive one, okay? This is from Eric, and Eric writes, it was a success. This team was terrible for a good chunk of the season. If you would have told me during the terrible stretch that this team would make the Western Conference Finals, I would have laughed. I think he's right? I think that's an accurate way to look at what they did. Animal Fries Well Done writes, a full training camp, home court, continuity, none of that changes the fact that your supposed number one player is injury prone and inconsistent when healthy. This team hit its ceiling. It's not getting better. There's all sorts of different ones in here that are kind of all over the place.
Can I ask you
here's a trade AD one. Here's another one that I don't believe AD's up for the challenge. LeBron is too old. That's from Positively Black. This one's from Coach Robert Aguayo. They're all somewhere between yep and hey, do not fall for the trap of what that looked like.
So the Animal Fries Well Done. The team hit its ceiling. It's not getting better. I don't know if we can answer that question today. It hit its ceiling. Like, think about what he just said. He said a full training camp, home court, continuity, and then he goes into, well, but this is what Anthony Davis is. This is what some of these other players are. I don't think you could just brush over a full training camp, home court, continuity. I don't agree with just how would we know it hit their ceiling. Listen, I said this yesterday. I'll say it again. I said this yesterday. I'll say it again. I don't think they have enough talent, pure talent, to go in an NBA championship roster as constructed. But I think they're hit their ceiling. I don't think we could answer that question because anytime you get a roster put together on February 9th and you have 2 months before the season ends and then the playoffs are going to start, of course a team that has been together for 4 or 5 months before that would be better off.
Maybe.
Home court, all that stuff.
I think it's a maybe because I think the flip side of what you're saying, you're being optimistic. I'll be the opposite. Is Anthony Davis will continue to be injury prone, and your top side is maxed out based on how good he's going to be, and he's going to be like you said yesterday. This is what he is. He is a terrific defender who's kind of all over the place offensively and kind of comes and goes, and he doesn't play as much as we'd like him to play. That's just more likely than not to be true again next year. LeBron James going into year 21. Mm-hmm. That's a lot. He's still going to be your best player or player 1A unless they make a big swing that we don't see coming. LeBron James and Anthony Davis are going to be your two best players next year. And they kind of there isn't a ton of, well, this is, if you get more time with this, that's going to help Austin Reeves. It's going to help Rui. It's going to help some of those other guys. And they may bump it up a little bit, but you're kind of capped out on the top side by your best players. LeBron's going to be 39 years old and in his 21st season in the league. That's going to be what it's going to be. Anthony Davis, you've said it yourself, is kind of going to be what he's going to be. Mm-hmm. It's not that the bottom can't come up, which I believe it's that the top is still the top.
The talent piece of it, I'll go back to it. The talent piece is going to always come down to if the Lakers can. D'Angelo Russell was basically, other than a couple of moments in the playoffs, a non-factor. That's $30 million right there that was going to a player that was not really doing anything. So I guess the question is, can you find talent to replace a D'Angelo Russell? So, Trav, then you could say overall your roster, they're more talented. Take that more talented, the defensive mentality. Even if my cap is this with AD and my cap is this with Bron, I brought somebody else in that has talent, real talent. Doesn't have to be their talent, just real talent where the team is better. I think that's got to be the solution.
That's the way that you kick the ceiling higher. Yeah. But if it's roughly the same team, I think you're going to get a similar result. I think they'll be good, but not good enough. Right, and that's an interesting play. The Lakers have not been in this position before, right? The Lakers when they had all those second round or number 2 overall picks, right? The Lakers were a bad team at that point. Yep. They were a team in development. You go back to Shaq and Kobe. You go back to Kobe and Pau. They're competing for championships. You get LeBron James, instantly you're competing for championships because LeBron is still at a high level, and then you trade for AD. It's like, okay, we're competing for championships. Last couple of years, they're a bad basketball team. There was no...
Even his first year, right?
Yeah.
So did not make the playoffs, won a championship, out first round, did not make the playoffs, Western Conference Finals.
So here you are coming into next season.
It's all over the place.
But it's been one or the other. Mm-hmm. It's been either bad or championship caliber. Yeah. There's been no middle. And they're not in the middle like the Minnesota Timberwolves are in the middle, but they're not at the top either. The Lakers, they're running it back, right? They don't change, and they just run it back, or the changes they make are just kind of on the edges. They're going to be good. They'll win more than they lose. They'll get into the playoffs. They will give somebody a good hard fight in a playoff series. But are they a championship caliber team? Probably not. And that's a weird spot for this group because it's the first time they've been there where we're going to be all right, but we're obviously not on the Nuggets level. We're maybe not on a team like we'll see what Phoenix looks like when they get a year together, right? And
they'll make some moves too.
And I think this is something that we can get into as we get further into it. Ask Berg is coming up next, but I just made a quick list off the top of my head. These are the teams that I think you can say will be better, not necessarily good, but better in the Western Conference than they were this most recent season. Sacramento, I think, will be better having gone through a playoff series the way that they did. San Antonio is going to be better. They got Wembanyama. They're going to be better. They were dreadful, and now they're going to be better, right? Oklahoma City will be better. They've been trending in the right direction for years. No reason to think that that's not going to go. Phoenix will be better.
New Orleans on that list?
Denver will be better. Even if Denver gets clobbered in the finals, they realize we're a finals caliber team. They're in the finals for the first time. They go up to another level. The Clippers, who knows? The Lakers can't beat the Clippers anyway, but I
forgot about them.
I know what we're saying. Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, who knows? But there's a world where they're better. And, of course, New Orleans is on the list. You got Zion. You got Brandon Ingram. You keep those guys healthy. That's 1, 2, 3. That's 8 teams.
Well, could I tell you also?
Didn't mention Golden State.
Yep, I was just going to say.
Didn't mention the Rockets.
Didn't mention Memphis. Yep.
Didn't mention Minnesota. Didn't mention Utah. These are, so that field is going to be very, very crowded. The Lakers are among those teams, but they're not at the top of the list of those teams. And that's, I think, what you're talking about. With the talent and the floor of that conference comes up a little bit, there's a rocky, tough road in the Western Conference.
I had one moment where I really genuinely thought, I think the Lakers are going to win it all. Okay, you call it two moments.
Okay,
when they finished off the Golden State Warriors, I liked the matchup against Denver. I did. I thought, look, we could look back to some regular season matchups. AD has played well against Joker. The Lakers have played good against the Denver Nuggets. And then there was a moment in Game 2 where the Lakers in Denver kind of took that lead. And all the way till about halfway through the third quarter, they're up 11. Bron gets a dunk, they're up 11. I'm like, I think Lakers are going to win a championship. From there, it obviously went the other direction. But to answer your question, you said, is this team good enough if they came back to win a chip? Other teams are only going to feel more confident about themselves like Denver, and other teams are going to adjust.
And the Lakers' best guy is going into year 21. That you can't just think, well, LeBron's back. Yes, he's going into year 21. He's probably going to have some type of surgery in the offseason. 21.
Yeah.
He just said for the first time ever, hey, I got to think about this. It's the first time he's ever really said that. That this is the top end of your team is different than it is this year, and it's probably not better.
Sure.
If you are the same, it's probably a win. If it's not, that's a whole nother conversation. Ask Berg. Coming up next, it's Travis Slee, 710 ESPN. Hey, much like Cousin Slee, if you get hurt in an accident, you got to call Sweet James. 800-9-million. That easy. 1-800-9-million. That's 800-900-0000. And, of course, you can always go to sweetjames.com. And when you make that call, here's what you're going to get. Number one, you're going to get the best attorneys in America. That's what they've been awarded. And personal injury, it is all that they do. Their success is driven by their passion to make sure that you get what you're entitled to. And here's what you're entitled to. Not what the insurance company is offering you, but what you actually deserve. And that's what Sweet James fights for every single day. He knows the moves of the insurance companies. He used to work for them. He knows how they operate, and he's going to make sure that they don't do it to you. He's going to maximize that compensation. He's collected over $1 billion in settlements in his career. Over $1 billion in settlements in his career. That's why you need to do what I've done, and that's call Sweet James. 1-800-9-million. 1-800-900-0000 and sweetjames.com.
Yes, indeed. 12 minutes in front of 11 a.m. This is live because you can see my face. It is Travis and Sliwa, your Wednesday. It is time for Ask Slee. And, of course, on Wednesdays, we do a celebrity edition of Ask Slee. Today, it is Ask Berg. And Ask Berg is brought to you by our friends at Harrah's Resort SoCal, voted best resort in Funner, California. Visit harrahssocal.com. It is time. You better make them good, okay? And I'm glad you didn't do Ask Greg, your lame first name crap.
Well, people still sometimes
He's
put
in a mood
Greg
again
there.
today. All right.
It is time.
We got through yesterday
Ask-
so well.
You going to step on it?
Yeah, I just
Ask
did.
Berg right now.
Hey, Greg.
Hey, what's going on? You can call me Berg. Don't worry about it. We call him Morales, by the way. This is Morales.
I call him Chris. And it was my tweet, and I get to write it the way that I want to write it.
Call Gregory. Gregory is what I use a lot.
Trouble. I'm in trouble.
Yeah, it's true.
Gregory.
That's right.
That's a tough one.
Ready?
Yeah.
All right. This is from Jacob.
Hi, Jacob.
Have you ever returned the wave of someone you didn't know who was waving at the person directly behind you?
Oh my God! Of course, hasn't everybody done that? It's yes, very many times actually. And then you look behind you and you go, "Oh, that wasn't for me," and it's very unnerving. But otherwise, or you can kind of play into it.
No, you got to own it.
You got to play into it. Like, oh no, that was for me, right? No, it wasn't you.
No, you don't even do that. You just keep waving, and then when you realize there's somebody behind you, you just kind of give them one of those.
Well, that's the thing. You have to kind of acknowledge that it wasn't for you.
No,
right?
don't acknowledge it's for you.
Oh,
I think that's the
you have
better way
to.
now. No, at some point
I give
you
them a
gotta
hug.
yeah,
I go up there and give them a hug.
You see.
Not anymore. Are we allowed to do that?
It happens to everybody, right? And it's
Yeah.
one of those, my bad. Hey, nice to meet you anyway. You got to kind of lean into it a little bit.
When you're in the moment, it's almost impossible to actually play into it. You're like,
By the way-
God, I feel
By
so
the way,
dumb.
it is
You're
such
like,
a
"Ooh."
stupid feeling
It's
where you're looking
so
around like,
bad.
wow, that was for somebody else, Al.
It happened the other day, actually. I went to go play golf with my brother, and somebody was waving from the driving range, and I thought it was my brother. So I was like, hey, like full arm up in the air, full wave, and then I was like, that's not my brother.
You know what happens, Al? Have you had this one too? And it doesn't happen a lot, but occasionally I will get recognized, right? And it's one of these.
Oh, wow, famous.
Somebody will wave at you and like, okay, they recognize me from whatever
Sound like
it is.
Yates.
And so nobody sounds like
This
Yates.
is radio's Travis Roger.
Nobody sounds like that. But you'll return it, and then you realize, like, oh, no, that's his wife directly behind me. It's because you're like, it's just one of those, no, nobody knows who you are. Nobody knows what you look like.
It's
On
embarrassing.
Saturday in the suite, there was someone in the suite that looked almost exactly like Parker, who back there is on our social team. I almost went up to him like, "Hey, Parker, what's up?" And it wasn't him. So that's really fun too. All right, so this is from Chrissy, who actually shared last week a really fun story about running into or talking about the wrong person in a bad situation. So thanks, Chrissy, for sharing that. But she says, you're stuck in your office with only one person from the station. Who do you want with you, and how long do you think you would last? You only have what's in your backpacks and whatever's in your offices. And so I would say in this situation, too, it's
like
everybody
true
that has an
survival
office.
Everybody has an office. So am I stuck in my office?
You're stuck in your office, and I'm considering this to be like an apocalypse kind of scenario. You're with one person from the office and only what we have in our office / backpacks.
Okay, so it's not the whole studio. It's just my office.
You
That
are
would be
stuck in your office, but like you can access anybody here.
But one person is stuck with me
Yeah,
in the
one
office.
person's with you in the
that's
office.
okay, that's what I thought. All right.
It's not overcomplicated.
No. It was just getting a
I
little
think we
confusing.
can say office has everything here.
Yes.
Okay, so it's the whole thing.
The floor.
Yes.
Yeah, the floor. Great. That makes it much easier. It's going to be Sliwa. Because with Sliwa, he's going to have his dry sense of humor. I'm going to laugh a lot. Yeah. We have all these different things. We have games to play.
Yep.
And we have it in my office. He comes into my office and picks up the little basketball and he throws it in there.
I think we'll also give ourselves a little bit of free space. Like,
Yeah.
hey, do your thing for a couple of days.
Yeah, and then we'll go over
I'm
there.
going to be on the other side.
We don't need to be together
Yeah.
at all times.
Yeah.
I think it would get along pretty well with them.
Here's the only problem is how
got
long you're
TVs?
trying to survive for.
Oh, no.
Because I think if there's somebody else that can help you survive longer, I don't think I'm going to be the guy.
You need somebody with some skills when you have to leave the office.
I think there's an order, and when it comes to actually somebody that wants to help me survive, it's Sedano. Sedano, he's a black belt. He has a lot to say.
Probably packed well in his backpack.
He'll be ready for any situation.
I could see his backpack where there's everything in there. Like everything you need is in there. There's a granola bar and a hammer.
There's matches.
He's got everything.
He's an apocalypse
Matches,
prepper.
that's the good, right?
Zombie apocalypse
ammo.
Prepper. Yeah.
You never know.
Like,
what you're
I
gonna
honestly
need.
think he would have all of that stuff. Like, I'm not having Mason here. I'd get along with him fine, but I also we die immediately.
Okay, this one goes with the brand on Twitter. Manson the Clown asks, "Are you afraid of clowns? Like many people, if not, what are some of the fears that you have?"
So Manson the Clown talks to me on Instagram, and I'm terrified of him, so I respond to him every single time.
Okay, got it.
For fear of antagonizing him?
Yes, for fear of antagonizing.
Yeah, that's scary.
Look at his face. Show it to Travis.
I've seen it. I've seen it.
Oh, jeez, that's a little.
Yeah, he's terrifying. Yep. So I will always respond to him. Yes, for the most part, because clowns are just unnatural. It's not there shouldn't be clowns in this world.
Okay, I think a better question than are people afraid of clowns, because a lot of people are. Does anybody find them funny? I think is a better. Does anybody go like, "Oh, that was I had the best time"? They had a clown.
But even as a kid, aren't you scared as hell of a clown?
It's terrifying.
Juggling and the handkerchief and the flower. Is that great?
They squirt you with water out of their flower.
Feel like
yeah,
that's great, right? They got
I'd rather
big
have a mime.
shoes.
They're funnier.
But Manson is a wonderful clown,
Wonderful.
and
Yeah,
I
he's a
love
great
Manson
clown.
the Clown. He is the best of all of the clowns.
Of all the clowns.
In the history of clowns.
Rich writes, "Coffee is eradicated from the planet.
Oh,
what
no.
do you drink that early in the morning for the pep in your step?"
Bourbon.
Oh no,
Just a quick bourbon.
I don't know if I think that might be the answer. But if it's not that, then
Can you do tea?
yeah, I can do tea. I would go with the yerba mate tea. That's a good tea that gets you. It has a lot of caffeine.
Damn, I
in it.
kind of don't know what I would do without coffee.
Strawberry Sprite,
I have it in
Emily?
my hand right now.
Sprite doesn't have enough caffeine in it, so I think that'd be really difficult.
Strawberry
Sprite is caffeine free.
Coca-Cola?
Maybe a Red Bull or
Maybe.
something.
A Red Bull?
I don't know.
No, I mean, I guess
Sugar-free?
those get me all jittery.
I'm with you,
with
but
the
what if you don't have
Monsters,
coffee?
Too much. Yeah. If I
I
don't
think
have
your
coffee,
body would adjust over time.
I don't know.
Red Bull vodka.
Yeah.
Maybe something like
That's
that.
a weird. Okay,
That's an awful mix.
One
used to
is
drink
way
that,
up,
too.
the other one could put you down. It's like this is not what I'm looking for. I don't know which one's going to win out at any.
I know what the hell I was doing.
One more here. This
Yes.
is from. This is a little bit more like your zombie apocalypse situation.
Okay, all
sort
right.
of adjacent. You got to travel around the world in 90 days. Which two ESPN colleagues are you taking with you and why?
Oh wow. Okay.
Like Amazing Race style?
Yeah.
Amazing Race style. Okay, so I'm gonna have to take Cappy on this one just because he would be so much fun.
Yeah.
I think he would be willing to do anything. He would be going around to all the different places and having so. Yes, so Cappy is absolutely one of them. Needs some strategic in that situation. Somebody that can actually run and do, because it's Amazing Race style.
Sure.
I kind of want to take Travis.
Not if there's running involved.
Yeah,
you don't.
that's why I'm not. But I think you'd
And
be
he's not really a
strategic.
world traveler.
No, I don't think he'd like to do that stuff. I need somebody that actually speaks a lot of different languages, probably.
Sedano's bilingual. Al's bilingual.
Yeah.
I don't know if my Chaldean is going to
Yeah,
help.
it's
Look,
better than one.
Once I have
End up in the
Cappy,
Middle East.
I have Cappy with me, so I can't take Sedano. They would just
Right.
fight the whole time. So I
But
can't.
Sedano has the LAX partnership because
He
he
does.
posts about that all the time.
Ireland
Does.
travels all the time.
He does, but he hates leaving the country.
Yeah.
God, I mean, I guess it
hate
is.
leaving L.A.
Yeah, I know. So you're out. I'm not even. I was trying to be nice to you. I think just for the athletic ability, I'm going to take Jorge.
Not a bad.
Good choice. All right.
Bilingual too.
Bilingual, yes.
Yes.
I got one last one, and so these are rapid fire. You just answer the first
I
thing that
was
comes
in.
to your mind, okay?
Rapid fire.
All right, so Dr. Pepper or Mr. Pibb?
Dr. Pepper.
Chicken or steak?
Because I can't handle steak anymore. Chicken, but the answer is steak.
Okay, I'm going to avoid some of these because they're inappropriate. These are from Christopher Holmes. Ketchup or ranch?
Ketchup. Ranch is for
easy.
children.
Agreed.
Okay.
So is
whatever.
ketchup,
We're
but-
done there.
yeah, but-
Robots or dinosaurs?
Ooh, I'm gonna go with dinosaurs.
Nah, you screwed it up
Okay.
already. They're already pissed.
Save or spend?
They're pissing off.
No,
the
robots. You
bro.
can't kill a robot.
Hey.
Unplug it.
Yeah, no, they're walking around with they're
They heard
sentient
you.
beings. as
Solar.
much as yeah. I like dinosaurs.
Save or spend?
Ooh, spend.
Instagram or Twitter?
Twitter. I don't like Instagram.
And guac or salsa?
Guac.
All right, those are the rapid fire.
It's good.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Not
It's
bad.
good there, Berg.
Not bad. Not
I always
bad.
like doing this with you guys. It's
I
fun.
like the ranch answer. That was my favorite one.
Well,
of the
because it's
day.
for children.
Okay. Why did LeBron say what he said? He's not leaving, so why did he say it? That's next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN.
All right, the best teams start with great talent, but finding the right people can be a challenge. It's like sports scouts researching top athletes across the country to find potential picks for pro teams. When it comes to hiring, ZipRecruiter can help you find the right candidates for your team. They can help you find them fast. ZipRecruiter sends your job to over 100 top job sites, and ZipRecruiter is so effective that 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. To try ZipRecruiter for free, go to ZipRecruiter.com/Greeny. ZipRecruiter.com/Greeny. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Hey guys, Alan.
KRDC AM 1110 Pasadena, Los Angeles.
710 ESPN.
A Good Karma Brands radio station.
It's Travis Rogers, Alan Sliwa.
Oh, but okay. Did you have the little tiger? Remember the tiger? The tigre?
Travis and Sliwa.
On 710 ESPN.
All right, just a quick reminder, Ask Lee is presented by Harris Resorts SoCal, 2 hours away from downtown Los Angeles. HarrisSoCal.com. That's HarrisSoCal.com.
Yeah, this is not my song, Taylor. I'm not running. I'm not hauling ass through an airport. I'm not running from a cab to something else. It's any competition that involves a running portion.
Yeah.
I am not your guy.
World Traveler. This guy didn't pick me. I took that one personally. He picked me
No
for,
invite back, that's for sure.
He picked me for the surviving in the office. And then we go leave the office. He's like, no, I want nothing to do with sleep.
If you had to pick between the two, the second one
Give
is
me the
more
World
your
Traveler.
jam. Yeah.
Much more my jam.
You've been a lot of places. You've been to
Been to-
Africa. You've been to Japan. You've been to the Middle East.
Riverside?
You've been to Riverside. I believe that you
Escondido?
occasionally will dip your toe in the South Pasadena pool. You're all over the place.
Free part.
Yeah. Multiple languages.
Marietta?
Me and Chrissy
Temecula?
are both the most offended by what happened with Greg's answer to the ketchup or ranch.
Mm-hmm.
So Chrissy says, how dare you talk bad about ranch? I don't think you guys understand that ranch is the superior condiment.
Sure.
It really has the best flavor.
Okay.
It is so unique. And when you get good ranch, it's way better than
Sure.
There's
Right.
no variance in ketchup.
You're right.
There's
Agree.
variance in ranch. The best ranch is way better than any other condiment.
Couldn't agree
Best.
I would argue that, ketchup is a child's condiment.
more.
It is.
No, it is. Yeah.
It is, but I just knew it would enrage her. I've never
Right.
met, so it's like she's the heiress to Hidden Valley.
Ranch is incredibly superior.
I've never met anybody that had no skin in the game care so much about a condiment.
I have skin in the game. It's because condiments are great. It's what makes life great. There is actually a restaurant in St. Louis that is just
Only serves ranch.
and it is. And it has like these chicken fingers and stuff that you can dip around and like try the different types of ranch. My friend Sarah, who visited a couple months ago, and she loves ranch more than I do. So
That's
I
impossible.
don't believe that. That's
She has a hat that just
BS.
says
If
ranch.
I could curse right now, I want to say the bull. I want to say it.
That's cap.
I'll
is what
call.
that
I'll
is.
call Sarah right now.
That is
you call
definite
Sarah.
cap. That is definitely cap. You good?
Yeah, I said my piece and Chrissy's piece and Chrissy's
You did,
piece.
yeah. It's fine.
I would take ketchup personally.
Of course you would.
You hate ketchup, Travis.
No, I don't. I hate it on a hot dog.
Why?
I don't like it. I'm allowed to not like things. That's okay. Take it easy.
I'm
That's
taking
why
it easy. It's fine.
I get out of the way. I'm not getting in the fight. I'm the guy at the bar that's saying, "I think they're about to scrap."
No, I'm not. I'm trying to.
I think we're going to
move
leave
past it.
I think we're both trying to leave. We're both trying to leave
Now,
the
let's
bar.
go to that place across the street.
Let's go to the T bar.
Feels like
Let's go to the T bar. There's no alcohol.
Temperature's coming up here. Let's go to the other place. I think we're going to be all right. So, why did LeBron drop what he dropped, which is him saying yesterday, there's a lot I have to think about the game of basketball. There's a lot to consider. Why did he say that? Because almost universally, almost across the board, no one thinks he's leaving.
I know.
There's not even one or two
you're right.
people that are saying, hey, guys, you need to take this seriously. He might decide, I've played 20 years.
Yeah.
My body's breaking down. I want to go out on top. I just became the all-time leading scorer. There is a story to be told about it, but just nobody's
Am I
telling
going to
it.
have surgery in the
Gonna have it.
offseason?
You
Do
gotta-
I want to go through all that?
All of it.
Yeah.
All of it. Everybody's like, yeah, what does it mean? So what does it mean? Because I don't think anybody really thinks that the NBA season starts next year and LeBron James isn't a part. Now, he might not be ready to go for health reasons. That's a whole nother thing. But
Yeah.
he's going to be on a team. I think we all agree on that. So why did he say what he said?
Let's take the aftermath of it. Yesterday, Lakers had their exit meeting, and Bron was not a part of that mix, right? And the Lakers basically have said that, hey, look, give him the proper amount of time, let the man kind of do his thing. It was a long season. He put a lot on his body just to get that far.
Yep.
The only thing I could think of, and it really, really is the only thing that I could think of, because why else would you do it, Trav? I think the only thing that you do, Bron obviously still wants to compete for an NBA championship. And the only leverage LeBron James has that he's always had is him. I'm
His
worth
participation.
I'm worth everything.
Yeah.
And by the way, even at this stage of his career, he's still worth everything. If the Los Angeles Lakers, let's just say hypothetically, didn't have Bron next season, just how much different is the level of interest?
Oh, my gosh.
Locally, nationally, what's the ticket sales look like? The man
Night and
is
day. It's night and day.
He's incredibly powerful.
Of course he is.
And the card that he's always able to pull is him.
You want me here or not?
Him. Right? And listen, most people would say, come on, Bron, you really giving up $97 million over the next 2 years? Probably not. Okay? Bron, are you really, after a performance like you had, 40, 10, and 9 in a Game 4, with the way your body is at this stage of your career, it's not like you're coming in giving 12 points. You were 2 for 12.
He's still one of the best
You
players
have
in the
4 rebounds and 4 assists. It's not like he's at that stage of his career.
Yes.
The only thing that I could think of is I want to put everybody on notice. There's going to come things this offseason that I'm going to want, and if I don't get what I want, then maybe just potentially I'll look at other opportunities. Maybe I'll take a second to take a step back. If that name includes Kyrie Irving or if that name includes somebody else, listen when I tell you, because I don't even have to come to you and tell you directly. I'll just do it through the media at the biggest time.
That's how he does it.
At the biggest time, at the time where there's the most microphones in front of me, I'll say something to shock everybody, and I'm the story, not even the NBA Finals and not everything else.
I think that's a part of it. How big of a part of it? I don't know. You could convince me it's 30% of it. You could convince me it's 1% of it. But I do think there's something that, hey, I'm about to be out of the news cycle. I don't like that. I'm gonna throw that out there, and now it's about me. We didn't even talk about Jokic and the Nuggets advancing to the finals for the first time. It's about LeBron coming or going, right?
Yeah.
No one is buying he's leaving. There are three other really kind of scenarios that I've seen that are out there. One of them is he takes some time away, right, to try to rejuvenate, to watch his kid, to just let his body heal so he can go at it again one more time, play with his kid, maybe find a scenario that he finds more appealing basketball-wise, try to grab another championship. I don't think so. I don't know why he would want to not play when he's still one of the better players. I don't think you take a year away when you're still, if he was just completely broken down out, and the scenario that you just painted where he's averaging 11 points a game, he's like, I just need to take a
not
nice
effective, yeah.
But that's not the case. He was still an all NBA selection. He's still at a very high level. So let's scratch that one off the list. The most likely of the incredibly unlikely scenarios, right? I don't think this is going to – I think what's going to happen is he's going to be on the Lakers next year. I think that's 99%. The little carve-out that I want is that he's on another team. And what this is the beginning of, hey, listen, I just had something happen to me for the first time in my career, which is my best wasn't good enough. My best was not good enough. Not that he hasn't run in other players who had better teams, right? But – my very best wasn't as good as Jokic's best, and I just it doesn't. I need to go be a number 2 somewhere, or maybe even 2A. I need to be on a team where I can really pick my spots and be the complementary player that I was supposed to be here, but he sees that that's not available to him. That he sees that, you know what, that's just not going to happen here. It's not here. It is somewhere else. I need to start setting this up so I can move to that other place. Again, I don't think that's going to happen, but I'm also not striking it off the list like I am not play, sit out a year. I think those are absolute non-starters. Different team, different scenario. I'm going to go be number 2 over here or number 2A over there, occasionally be the number 1. Can't do it here. Need one more title. Need one more really good look at it. I know it's not here. That's not a 0% chance. That's what I think he was at least testing the waters with.
I've never fallen into – I always thought when Bron signed with the Lakers, that was probably it.
I thought so too.
Not thinking he was going to go anywhere else. I still actually believe that, except for next season. I'm sorry. Not this upcoming year.
25.
The following year. I just give you – this is a small example. Obviously, he's planted his roots here in L.A., Bronny decides that he's committed to USC, so he'll get the opportunity to watch his son play basketball at USC. I still think LeBron James, just to play off what you just said, I think he will do everything in his power, and I think the Lakers will do everything in their power as well. They got to the Western Conference Finals. They clearly were able to do it, even though it wasn't nearly the type of season, just the way everything was structured, the way they waited till the last second to save that 2029 first rounder. I think the 2027 they gave up, but they kept the 2029 first rounder. They put together a roster kind of last second. They were still able to get to the West Conference. Maybe it's fool's gold, maybe it's not. I don't have the answer to it. I think he's leveraging everything he can, and this is probably it, by the way. This upcoming year will be your last shot, which is also impressive that you're still in this mix of getting a chance to compete for a championship. You guys got to go all in this upcoming year. This is it. Like this is my final hurrah. Because do you think that LeBron James after this upcoming season will be a Los Angeles Laker? He has a player option. I don't think he will be. I think there's a very good chance by that point. Now you got Bronny. I don't know how good Bronny is. I don't. So I don't know where he ends up in the NBA. I don't know. Is he a first rounder? Is he a second rounder? I can't figure it out. Is he just powerful because his last name is James and his dad is LeBron? I have no idea. But I would think that this upcoming year is your final hurrah. And if Bron ends up leaving the Lakers after that's 6 years with the Los Angeles Lakers, that player option does give him the ability to go somewhere else. He's going to go get the money wherever he is, and then maybe he grants his wish of playing with his son.
That's really interesting because it comes down to his priority, right? What is his priority? Is his priority to play with his son? And by the way, these are all reasonable options. I'm not judging him. I'm just saying these are the ones that they are. Does he want to play with his kid? Does he want to stay in Los Angeles for all the reasons that Los Angeles is appealing, especially for somebody like LeBron James? Or do I got to get one more? Right? I need one more. That I want to have one more than Steph Curry, or I want to have as many as Magic Johnson and as many as Kobe and as many as this guy, right? That 4 is one, but 5 it's a whole nother level. I need one more because each of those goals may be achievable in a different place. And maybe none of those goals are achievable with the Lakers. And like you said, they did get to the Western Conference Finals, and the first thing he said afterwards was, "I don't care about this.
Yeah,
this is not why I play.
I've been there. I've
done
done
this too many times.
Yeah.
This is not interesting to me. I play for championships, and we didn't even get to the championship round. So that close is not close enough for him. I need it all. And the thing that is universally agreed upon with LeBron James." He knows what he's looking at when it comes to a title team. He knows. He knew that what he had at the beginning of the season, it wasn't it. He knew that once they made those trades, it might be it. Let's at least give it a run. Maybe he's thinking, it's just we're a lot better than we were, but we're still not good enough.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we can make that last 10 yards. I don't know if we can get across the goal line. That I need Anthony Davis to be a little bit better, and it's just not going to. Whatever the reasoning is, and I got to go over there to do it. I can go be a side. He'll never be a sidekick, but I can go be the second best guy here, and here, and that'll work out better for me. What are his priorities?
Well,
only he knows.
Don't forget this too. Even when Bron was LeBron James, he can give the ball to Kyrie Irving. He could go get him a bucket.
Yeah.
He could have Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh on the team. He had shooters all around him. It's not like Bron has done everything by himself. He's had help. Now, you can make the case in Cleveland the first time they made it to the NBA Finals when they played the San Antonio Spurs, but he's had help. He could very well be looking at this roster and saying this just isn't good enough.
Not
and this is it. He had to play 48 minutes in Game 4.
And he played an electric, 24 minutes, and a pretty good second 24 minutes.
And is it safe to say?
And it wasn't good enough.
And was it safe to say he didn't have enough help around him to get
both.
it done? If Bron is saying, I got to play 48 minutes, give you 40, 10, and 9, and that's not good enough to win one game against the Denver Nuggets?
That it was both he needed more help, 100%, and it was I can't give you 48 minutes. I probably can't even give you 40 on the regs. I need to be able to manage my time, my energy. And I can't do it with this team. It's just we're not good enough to do it. What are his priorities? Only he knows. Only he knows. Bobby Miller, maybe the latest. Seen it before, or we seeing it again? That's next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN.
Driving without a seatbelt could cost you everything. But despite that, there are still drivers on the road who just won't buckle up. Some of those drivers will be pulled over and given expensive tickets by law enforcement. Some of the drivers not wearing their seatbelts will be involved in crashes. Some will survive, but some won't. Wearing your seatbelt could be the difference between making it home to your loved ones and not making it at all. Every day when you get in your vehicle and decide whether to buckle up, remember that it's the single most effective way to protect your life in the event of a crash. Make it home safely to the people you care about. Don't risk it. Click it or ticket. Paid for by NHTSA.
Sedano and Cap. Alan Sliwa.
Is that the word to use to describe it? A creeper? I don't know.
I'd say so. It's a creeper to me.
I don't know.
It's a creeper.
That's the word to describe.
Travis and Sliwa.
On 710 ESPN.
So you remember when May...
The ranch dressing thing?
No, stop.
Okay. I don't know. You started saying it. So
I
you
didn't.
said, remember when? So I started thinking about things that have happened.
Look, we're all just kind of lead, Al. Usually I'm the one that likes to kind of kick the nest and see what happens.
Saying.
You didn't go right back to ranch.
Fine.
That was very unlike you. I like that a lot. Good job, Al. The Dodgers in May. We're like, hey, look out, man. You better put some money in the bank in April because when you get to May, you're going to play nothing but literally nothing but good teams until the final series of the month, which is Washington, which is still ahead of them. Well, they didn't put a lot of money in the bank. They went 16-13 through April, which is fine, but it's 500, right? 16-13.
Still good. Even the 16-13, I
It's
thought
fine.
by the time it was all the dust settled.
Yeah. Look, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's also not like, okay, we put some money in the bank. It's just it's fine. They're 15-6 in May. They're 15-6 in May. They're going to win the series in Atlanta. They have a chance to sweep the series in Atlanta today. They got Tampa coming up this weekend, best team in baseball, so they'll get another really good opportunity there. They've lost exactly one series so far this month. They dropped 3 or 4 to St. Louis. They beat the Padres 5 out of 6 times, 2 out of 3 in Milwaukee, swept the Phillies, and took 2 out of 3 against the Minnesota Twins. They've looked. Those are all first place or very, very good teams. And then this series, you have Dustin May gets placed on the 60-day IL.
Yeah,
that's not good.
No.
Clayton Kershaw did something he's never done in his career where he did not get into the 5th inning of back-to-back starts.
Yep.
Julio gets placed on the IL because of a hamstring injury after giving up 4 consecutive home runs against the Cardinals. Tony Gonsolin is the backbone of your rotation all of a sudden, and he's coming off of an injury. And you got to go down to the minor leagues and pull up 2 young guys to play the best team in the National League in their ballpark. They're playing well. They got the best record in the league.
Yep.
And they got all their guys going.
Could be the NLCS for all we know.
Sure.
Yep.
And they won both of those games.
Mm-hmm.
And they won yesterday because a guy that has been long touted as one of the best prospects in baseball showed up and was exactly that. This was, and I don't know how much you got to see of it yesterday, but watching the game, and I'm just thinking, this reminds me of something. I can't quite put my finger on what this reminds me of, but this reminds me of something. And I'm not just talking about throwing 100 and having a wipeout slider. I'm just like his presence, his aura. It reminded me, and all of a sudden,
Bueller.
Yes, exactly. May have been his major league debut, may have not have been. I don't know. The first time I saw Walker,
I see a
Buehler,
lot of comps there. That's
he was
interesting.
pitching against the San Francisco Giants in San Francisco. They brought him in the middle of a game. The Dodgers either were way ahead or way behind. I don't even remember, but the game wasn't close. And he comes in there, and I'm thinking, oh, this is their first round pick, Vandy. It's like, wow, that's really good. You saw him a couple days later, like, well, that was really good. And he had this calmness to him. But not flatliner, like not emotional. Just, hey, guys, I don't know what y'all expected, but this is what I do. This is what I was put on this planet to do, is to get guys out. I'm not surprised by this. I expected to do this. Maybe I'm a little bit ahead of schedule, but not on my timeline, I'm not. Miller had that same thing. He was a little all over the place to start, but he settled in so fast, Al. That looked like a guy that had been pitching in the big leagues for a while, not a guy making his major league debut. And if that's your opening offer, there's going to be some bumps in the road. That guy looked like a major league pitcher after 20 minutes in the major leagues. That's not how it's supposed to go.
Very, very impressive. It really was. He had a quote that coming from yesterday. He says, as confident as I looked out there, I was very nervous under that poker face. I just had to focus on my breathing and tell myself it's the same game still. That quote actually surprised me because what you just described, no, I didn't see anything calm, cool, and collective. It felt like he was. And, yeah, I saw just the way he was, and this is probably the advantage of having somebody like Will Smith behind the plate. Very heavy fastball in the beginning. And then they decided, felt like the Atlanta Braves were on his fastball.
They were.
No, let's now change it up a little bit. Let's use some of your other pitches. And once he started doing that, you kind of had the Braves all over the place. Couple of things that you mentioned. It's not just did you win the game. They did. 8-1. You only gave up one run. That one, I think that first run was in the first inning. But it was, how do you look?
Yeah.
How comfortable are you? How much in command are you? Is the moment too big? I remember Dave Roberts leading up to this game saying, all right, not ideal, but
what are you going to do?
Let's just see what it is.
Yeah.
Let's say they beat the Oakland A's. Then you're kind of you're saying to yourself, all right, well, as the Oakland A's, what did you really get? This guy was given the ball against the Atlanta Braves, the other top team in the NL, a stacked lineup, and it was, kind of sink or swim. And he didn't just swim; he was
won the race,
chilling.
Yeah,
he had floaties on.
He was calm, cool, and collected, but there was also a streak of arrogance, which I loved, a streak of competitiveness. He wasn't a flatliner, right? There's some guys, Greg Maddux, for instance, right? And look, if everybody were like Greg Maddux, wonderful. But Greg Maddux was just, you never knew what was going on looking at Greg Maddux. Then there's Pedro Martinez, who you knew had this crackle to him, right? That Pedro Martinez was throwing at guys. He's staring guys down. Pedro Martinez is like 5'9", and he's staring down guys.
Yep.
Okay? He has this thing about him, like, I'm not backing up to anybody. Miller was more Martinez than he was Maddux. And not that he was being a hot dog or anything like that. It was just, guys, this is who I am. I'm not going to apologize for being awesome just because I'm young. This is what Walker Buehler's the same way. Walker Buehler doesn't say much. You watch that dude walk on and off the field. He owns that place.
Yeah, there is.
There's no humility there. There's I'm not going to tell you a whole bunch, but you just have to just watch me perform. Miller had a lot of that too. Just that like Gavin Stone, who I think will be a very good pitcher, doesn't really have that. That's more of a, okay, let's see, I got to throw this pitch. I want to locate this. I want to set up this guy. It's not just that I'm going to wipe you blankers out of here.
You could know what I'm throwing. You still can't.
You don't have a chance.
You can't do anything with it.
You don't have a chance against me. Buehler had that, and I felt like Miller had it last night too.
There's in both wins, and both wins were completely different. I think one of the more underrated thing about the Los Angeles Dodgers so far, they're not out of any game.
No.
Yesterday, they're down 4-0 at the end of the first inning. Or 2 days ago. Yeah. Down 4-0 in the first inning. And there is something about, and maybe this is probably also, this will help your pitching staff as well, knowing that, listen, if I give up a couple runs, it's not the end of the world. I'm not telling you that's ideal. I'm not telling you that's how you want to play every game. But the way they won yesterday versus how they won 2 days ago, you have two really, really young pitchers coming in. But how they won, it defines who the Dodgers are so far this year. You can have a great pitching performance. You could have a kind of a little bit of shaky of a performance, at least early on. They still find ways to win the game.
I think you're getting at this, and it's something that I think is important because last year, Emily and I were talking about this morning, and this Dodger team is tough. And she said, not like last year's team. And I said, I don't know if that's fair because the Dodgers were just so good last year. They won 111. How do you want me to demonstrate I'm just winning every night. What do you want from me? Right? And then they go into the playoffs and they get beat. It's like, oh, it's this. But there was never an opportunity really to prove that they had what you just described, which is this: we're never out of any game. Grit, and just we don't roll. This is not an all-star team like last year's team where you just got MVPs and all-stars up and down the lineup. They got some, don't get me wrong, but once you get past Will Smith and you're on to Max Muncy, it's kind of a traditional major league team that you got Rojas and Vargas and Outman and Taylor and these JD. These are good players, but it's not this murderer's row. They grind. They don't give up. And I'm not throwing shade at your Pods because I still think that they're going to get back into this. I really, truly do. But they don't seem to have that that thing that we're going to grind this out on them, and we're going to make them. The Dodgers have it, and it's obviously working for them right now.
Yeah,
I think it's going to serve them well later in the season. This thing of, hey, listen, we had a bad night tonight. Here we go. They play the Padres in the first round again.
Yeah,
doesn't matter. Play the Arizona Diamondbacks in the first round.
Yeah,
they lose the first game 4-1. Can you imagine what people are saying if they lose that game 4-1? It's like, here we go again. I think what they're going through right now will serve them better in those moments of just knowing we're still in it. We do have toughness. We do have grit. We do have fight.
You respect it too. I think as a Dodger fan, I don't think there's a time right now so far this year that you're not that might not be perfect, but there isn't a time that you're walking away saying, "Are these guys giving what they need to give?" They are. Every single night, it feels like they're
Not
giving
perfect, not necessarily pretty. Last year was perfect and pretty, and then you were out. This is a little messier, but they're still really damn good. And if they just keep throwing 20-year-olds at you. And you can't be it's like you said, this wasn't the A's. It was the Atlanta Braves. The Atlanta Braves threw their best pitcher yesterday.
Yep.
Spencer Strider's their best guy. They got 4 runs off him by the end of the second inning. Just an amazing performance. Factor Cap coming up next. It's Travis Slee, 710 ESPN. Memorial Day weekend is here, right? It's right around the corner. You're going to take a little drive. You're going to go up to Santa Barbara, go down to San Diego, go have a good little trip. You're going to drive. Is your car due for service? If it is, before you head out for that Memorial Day weekend, head into your neighborhood Valvoline Instant Oil Change, home of the 15-minute drive-through oil change. Because for over 30 years, Valvoline has provided quick and convenient automotive maintenance services for busy people just like you. So get it done before you get on the road this weekend. It is only 15 minutes. You don't have to get out of the car. You stay there right in that front seat, nice and safe. Watch a video, take a nap, text your friends, whatever you want, while the expert technicians make sure that your ride is at its best. Oil changes, tire rotations, transmission care, and more. Just pull up, drive in, and drive out in about 15 minutes. Visit SoCalOilChange.com for locations and game-winning coupons off of your next Valvoline Instant Oil Change.
Wake up with
Welcome to Factor Cap.
Hey guys, and by the way, the best fast food ranch by far is Wingstop. Wingstop has such good ranch, and it's kind of easy to create at home if you want to. But yeah, people who like it know what I'm talking about. All right, so
Wingstop's got good fries too.
I'm not going to respond to that.
No comment. No comment from Emily.
I'm just going to keep throwing things. I just want to keep a list, Al, of the things that she doesn't like, and we'll bring them up periodically.
Still want
Wingstop
everybody to
is
go
a
to
great
rallies for
partner,
fries.
and I think that they make really good food. All right, so
That sounded sincere.
Molly Quorum, who hosts First Take, she posted on her Twitter a picture of what Mad Dog has as his notes during the show. Like, you know how I have notes, Travis. I know you guys all have notes, but like his notes look like scribble, and that no one could make any sense of them. There are a lot of like circles, and it says Dan Orlovsky with a bunch of circles around it. And like, I have no idea what all this means. So someone could understand the notes that you take for your show. Travis, fact or cap?
I think so. We're about to find out. I'm going to say fact. I'm handing Al my pad right now. I don't think there's anything that's terribly hieroglyphic-y about them. I think they're just little short sentences and ideas and thoughts that I want to execute. Is there anything that's hard to understand in there, Al?
Well, I don't understand that you and Susan had an argument about what? You break it down.
I'm never going to tell her anything ever again.
No,
you might not be able to read my handwriting. That's another thing.
This is organized. Very well organized.
Al, what about you?
I think for most people, this is probably more organized than what most people are going to have. For me, it's more just bullet points. Like, I'll just kind of jot down some bullet points.
Would I be able to understand it?
Here, I got you.
Like what this bullet point means?
Right.
Like, one of mine says first pick. Like, you know, we know what it means, me and Travis, but like if you didn't know what we were talking about, what, you know.
So, I had something on the Dodgers. We could do a little bit later. And it's basically, when do you decide to go all in? And then just bullet point, bullet point, bullet point.
Oh, so you have like a full sentence.
Yeah, as my topic, and then just bullet points from there. And then everything else makes no sense.
All right, Taylor?
Is the question like handwriting and stuff? Because I think my handwriting is legible.
I think both handwriting and what you're trying to say on your notes.
I'm going to give you guys one.
Fact on both.
You tell me if any of you guys know what this means. 130 games. Anybody? It's
130
just written right there in the middle of the pad.
That the Dodgers could win 130 of their games.
No, but kind of roughly kind of in the ballpark.
They've played 50,
it's
so
a
we're
long
not,
season.
so we're not talking there.
A lot more left.
The A's are on pace to lose 130 games.
Oh.
Literally.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, 130 games. If they're winning 20% of their games, which over
wouldn't you rather just want to do that? Like, what is it if you lost 100? If you could lose 130.
You know what the record is? 120. They could lose
Tigers?
130. I believe so. Or the Mets, one or the other.
Jesus.
Yeah. 100. There you go. There's the note.
All right. So Kobe Turner is one of the new draft picks for the Rams, and this came across my For You page on TikTok. So the For You page is essentially your home screen. So I got this video, and it was of his fiancée, Alyssa, posting what the inside of Kobe's car looked like. The leather is all broken up. There's a ton of lights on the dashboard. Like the window button doesn't work. It just is
not only didn't work, it sounded
mess.
like the thing was going to explode when she tried to roll it down.
Right. Exactly. The whole thing was a mess. So hopefully the first thing that he buys with his new draft money is a new car. So the first thing that you would buy if you got a windfall of cash, but obviously it's, you're working for it, the first thing you would buy would be a car. Alan, fact or cap?
Cap. I buy a house. Yeah, that'd be the first thing I buy. First thing I buy, especially if it's, if it's big time money, it's something along those lines where you're not too, okay, hey, now I just got to narrow it down. What neighborhood do I want to be in? House for me, no question about it.
Trev?
Am I me in this situation?
You're what Kobe Turner's getting. So you sign, you're a new draftee.
Like a Pontiac Grand Am.
If I were a new NFL draftee who is getting NFL money for the first time.
But you don't know how long it's going to last.
I'm not going to lie. I probably would buy a car. Fact. I think that's the thing that I would, because Kobe Turner's probably, 22, 23 years old?
Yeah.
The idea, Al, of, okay, this is where I'm going to live for the next 30 years is probably not rattling through your head. But
especially if you're a third-round draft pick, you don't know how long you're going to be.
And I'm not going out and buying a Bentley, right? But to go out and buy like a nice Tahoe from Rotolo Chevrolet and then just have it done, and I got this car, and this will run me for a long time. Yeah, I think a car would be my first stop.
Taylor?
Cap, I mean, I'm good on my vehicle. I could drive that around forever. I think I'd buy property or land or a new house.
You guys are mature.
Yeah.
All right.
You getting a car, Em?
I probably would get a car. I mean, right now in my state, I would
Change my
definitely
answer.
get a car.
I'm buying Bitcoin.
Are we back?
I have no idea.
But also, we've seen other people put their money into Bitcoin, and maybe that doesn't necessarily work.
Yeah, I'd like to say I don't know.
I have no
that's why
idea
I'm asking now.
So both Parker and DeAndre graduated this past weekend. Parker from
Congratulations,
Chapman
guys.
and DeAndre from Cal State San Bernardino. So this has been one kind of like trend that's been going. People trying to go a little viral when they walk the stage. So they'll go across and they'll do a funny handshake with their dean, or they'll like do a cartwheel across the stage, or they'll do something. So Parker was saying that as he went across the stage, he got off and he took a picture with a mascot. And
Go Panthers.
Yeah. So the mascot, though, they told him to keep his hands by his side or just around the mascot, but not do anything like fun with your hands or anything weird. So you should be able to do whatever you want as you cross the stage at graduation. Taylor, Fetcher Cap.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, you've put in the time, had your 4 years or whatever.
You paid $1 million to go there.
In theory, but at the same time, these people doing backflips and stuff is just like, I mean, just move along. Come on.
Trev?
I'm with Taylor. I think that's one of those things that in the moment might seem like, I want to do my backflip or get on the mascot's shoulders or whatever it might be. But at the end of the day, it's like, what difference does it really make? That 5 minutes after you do it, you probably don't even care anymore, that there are rules in place. I'll be an old fuddy-duddy on this one and say Cap.
Al?
Fact. Do whatever the hell you want. I mean, what is really anybody going to do? What are they going to do? What's the worst thing that's going to happen, right? The ice in his veins, as Parker's doing in the back there, which I hope is not related to D'Angelo, because there was definitely not ice in his veins during the playoffs.
Or Austin Reeves.
Yeah, but Reeves actually was good. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think maybe what they're worried about is the one idiot that decides he's going to go streaking, or maybe there's going to be a little bit of that. But I think overall, there's always an idiot. You're not going to avoid the idiots. Let them do whatever they want.
All right, so yesterday I saw a movie. It's called Sanctuary. Not really sure if I'd recommend it to anybody, but it takes place in a hotel room the entire time. And they get room service at one period of time. And then it got me thinking that when you were a kid, the height of luxury in your head was room service. This is the coolest thing. I could get chocolate ice cream in bed. So room service is the height of luxury when you were a kid. Travis, Fetcher Cap.
Cap, because there's one thing that you kind of envision being a little bit better, and it actually is. Like room service, you realize it's still just that same crummy club sandwich. They just dropped it off at your front door.
And you can eat it in bed.
And you can eat it in bed, right, as opposed to go downstairs to get it at the restaurant. The thing that seemed so fancy and so luxurious and actually kind of sort of is first class on an airplane, right? That you fit better, at least I do. You fit better, you get a real glass, you get a real fork. Like, it's just one of those things, those little things that make it better. Room service is number 2, so I'm going to go Cap.
Al?
Cap for me, it was the fact that we actually went on a vacation. Just the fact, and we wouldn't even, we were not getting on planes. It was taking the minivan to Lake Tahoe, or it was going to Laughlin, or it was going to Reno. Like, this is literally just the fact that we were leaving our home.
Yeah.
Was a really big deal, so I think that
was there room service on that vacation?
No.
Yeah, we never got it as kids. Never.
Yeah, and I was going to say that never happened. It was more we'd go eat somewhere, but we were not getting room service.
Taylor?
Cap, I didn't know what room service was either, but the fact that I was at a hotel and I could go swim in the pool, that was big. That was
baller
a big one for me. Yeah.
Limos is also right up there. Just being in a limo in general as a kid would have been so cool.
Yeah, it's true.
Then you get in a limo and unless you're sitting in the seat that's facing the windshield, if you're on one of those side seats, it's awful. Yeah. It's you're all crunched in, your legs don't fit. Yeah, only in the back seat.
All right, one last one. So the Monte Carlo race for F1 is this weekend, and it's very cool. It's a lot of really awesome. It's a very rich thing to do, and it's very picturesque. It's right along the coastline there. You're with the movers and shakers if you make your way to the Monte Carlo race. So this would be the #1 sporting event that you would want to attend. Travis, Fetcher Cap.
It's a fact for me. And
I'm also going to keep out of there. Okay, obviously we'd all want to see our favorite team win a championship, but this is just pure sporting event.
That it's I'm not a huge racing fan. I like F1 enough. Like I watch the series and all that stuff. But for all the reasons that you described, Em, to be in Monaco, to go to the famous casino, to see all the boats, to see all of those crazy rich people, like the richest people on the planet, all kind of throwing a party one weekend is pretty wild. Like the Masters is something I've never been to that I'd like to go to, and I love golf, but just for the spectacle of it, Monaco's number one for me.
Cap for me, and it has more to do. I don't know. First, the F1 part I have zero interest in, so right out the gate, that's a tough sell for me. I think being there would be cool, but at the same time, I feel out of place. So if you said from a sporting event perspective, and let me go, I'll go somewhere international. Drop me in a Premier League game where it's
Lakers preseason in San Diego,
where it's Man U versus Manchester City, and it's got just unbelievable energy, and it's got history. I'm just using those two squads as an example. I would rather do that than go to this F1 race.
Taylor?
Cap, yeah, the F1 sounds like a snooze fest, honestly. I don't know. I'd rather do maybe like a Super Bowl or Olympics, something along those lines.
I've been to both of those. You would be underwhelmed.
Don't do. But by the way,
I can almost guarantee you would be
Trav,
underwhelmed.
instead of Super Bowl, wouldn't an AFC championship game be more exciting?
AFC, NFC championship game, far more of an exciting event because it's in a home stadium.
Yep.
It's packed with the fans.
It's not every Fortune 500 company that's
and it's
in there.
and it moves like a regular. Super Bowl's long, man. There's a lot of downtime in that thing. It's fun. Don't get me wrong, but it's not like the Final Four with your school in it. Totally different jam. That's a totally different. That's a big event.
But I'm with you. I would not go to a Final Four if it's not my team.
No, it's got to have your school in it. Faux show. All right. Speaking of the Rams in the Super Bowl, they had a little OTA action, and their two most important guys weren't there. That's next. It's Trav and Slee, 710 ESPN.
All right, you guys have heard me talk about Sierra Subaru of Monrovia, the 2023 Outback. First off, just a beautiful, beautiful line of cars over at Sierra Subaru of Monrovia, and the brand Subaru. Just fantastic. I talk about more of an adventurous type of car. If you plan on going somewhere, maybe you go camping, maybe you just want to go on a road trip, Subaru is the brand. But they do a lot more than just sell cars over there. They really, really try to make sure that the local community represents the dealership. They focus on very impactful Subaru Love Promise. On May 31st, Sierra Subaru of Monrovia is helping to provide support to local education by sponsoring two exceptional students from Monrovia High School and providing a $1,000 academic scholarship for each student to enable their scholastic success and further their career goals. You could see for yourself. I just want to give everybody just quick an idea here. Sierra Subaru of Monrovia, yes, it is a dealership. Yes, they have a fantastic brand, but it's so much bigger. You guys hear me talk. Baby to Baby was the last program that I talked about. Now this great program as well. Go to sierrasubaru.com or visit them at 735 East Central Avenue in Monrovia, just off the 210 freeway.
Individual. Talk all day long.
710 ESPN.
Emily and I are going to go to Monaco. You guys go to something else, and everybody will have a good time.
Yeah, go middle of nowhere, England, and go watch a Premier League game.
You've never been to a
that.
Premier League game?
No.
How do I think that you had?
Got to, they've had big matches, but they're all here, right? San Diego back in the day at Qualcomm, they'd have teams come. Rose Bowl has it every single year.
Yeah.
They'll have
SoFi's having a couple this year too.
Yeah, that's right. They're going to have. They've done whether it's international, like actual the USA versus Argentina or something like that, or they're doing some of these Premier Leagues.
I'm not the world's biggest soccer fan, as we all know, but the idea of going to like a World Cup final in a place that's nuts for it, like a Brazil or an England, or that would be pretty cool.
Well, there's Mexico City is going to host one when we do the World Cup.
Yeah.
So
USA, Canada, and Mexico.
Yeah, but for instance, World Cup final in Mexico City, sure. World Cup final in Toronto, less exciting for me.
LA still might host the World Cup final.
And again, don't get me wrong. If somebody wants to host me, I will definitely go. But that's not a have-to-see-it moment for me. It's more about the experience of being in a soccer bananas place that would be
we saw,
a totally different
when
thing.
Argentina won it all.
They're probably still out on that
I wouldn't be
overpass.
surprised. They're like, guys, just another couple weeks, and then we'll get over it.
They're probably
Buenos
sobering
Aires
up
is still
right
shut down.
It's crazy. What? And Messi got $1 trillion from the Saudi team to go play over there?
A couple
trill.
mil. Couple trill.
Unbelievable.
Al, have you ever tried to watch Ted Lasso?
No, I have not.
Well, if you are interested in the Premier League at all, I mean, it's a good thing to watch. I mean, the final 2 episodes are coming out. The penultimate came out this week.
Did you? You didn't do Ted Lasso
I haven't
either.
done Ted Lasso, but I did watch a few episodes, and I don't know what's the one on Wrexham with Ryan Reynolds. What's that show called?
I know what you're talking about.
We Are Wrexham or something like that.
I watched a few of those. Really good, and I know that's not scripted the way that Ted Lasso is, but interesting. And I know that it's not the soccerness of it all; it's the enviro.
Ted Lasso has a lot less soccer than you think. It's more just like the characters and that stuff.
Let's try a quick phone call here. Let's go to Huntington Beach and Jonathan. Jonathan, you're on with Trav and Slee. What's up, Jonathan? Jonathan. He's gone, Slee. He wanted LeBron to give back some money. Why?
Just one of those.
Well, look,
I get it. By the way, because they actually set that standard when they were in Miami, where LeBron. Remember, LeBron was not the highest paid player on his team for X amount of years.
Yeah.
LeBron, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh each took like $16 million a year or something like that, and that's how they made it work. So I think Jonathan, what he was referring to there, hey, Bron, give some money back.
And he was talking about Tom Brady, how Tom Brady always took a haircut for so long and that's how the Patriots won. But also the NFL is totally different in that way that it's structured than the NBA.
Can I say this? If the man did it, awesome. When players do it, awesome. You just can't expect them to do it. That's it. Like it's
their money.
Well, it's not even just their. Think of LeBron's. What did we just say? If LeBron decided next year he's not gonna play, or he's gonna go somewhere else. Think about the value that LeBron James brings in every single freaking night. How about when he goes on the road? How about when he goes on the road? All of a sudden, you got a sold out Wizards Lakers game because LeBron is there.
There's no amount of money that you could pay LeBron where he's overpaid. There really isn't.
No salary cap. He's making $75-80 million a year, and no one's blinking.
I mean, same for Tom Brady.
For sure. Look, the PGA Tour does a thing that I think kind of what we're talking about here, where I'm going to get this a little wrong, but it's mostly right. At the end of the year, they figure out the guys that have the greatest impact on viewership, on internet, social media, that there's some formula that they've developed that says, hey, Tiger Woods brings this much eyeballs to what we're doing, and they pay them on top of that based on the impact that they have to their sport. If that were LeBron, like if the NBA said, okay, LeBron James makes his $45 million from the Lakers, but the impact he has on the league, here's another $200 million from the league, $300 million there, and you'd be like, yeah, what did John say the other day about Wembanyama? The Spurs got Wembanyama, but he said whoever who had gotten the number one
value
pick
of your franchise
by $500 million.
Yep.
Just by simply having him on your team, it goes up by $500 million. So you're telling me, hey, take less? Why? I'm the reason people are coming through the door. Well, you want to win? Yeah, I do. You figure out how to put a team around me. I'm actually taking probably less than I deserve.
Is that interesting that you're asking a player? So the owner is still going. The owner gets to pay you less to go put together a competitive team. Yet they're not going to they're not going to take any less from the revenue coming in. That's still all going to go to them.
Yeah.
They're just basically asking you, take a haircut so then I could put together a better team to then make more money. And I know you're the most valuable asset of anyone in the league.
Yeah, maybe in the entire United States sports structure, right? Take the soccer guys out of it.
The concept sounds nice, but the idea is not, it's not right.
All right. Aaron Donald, Cooper Kupp, not at Rams OTAs yesterday. And you know what? Who cares? Right? Like, is there anybody that you are less worried about being ready to go for the season than Aaron Donald and Cooper Kupp? If their entire roster of whatever it is, 90 some odd guys, you said, hey, who are the two guys you have no concerns about whatsoever? Donald and Kupp, them. Those two guys, they can go home. Those are the two guys that weren't there.
That's okay.
It's 100% okay.
Yeah, that's one of the, the only thing I think right now for the Rams, and Trav, this is right down your wheelhouse. I think there's a lot of, I think there's some curiosity with the team, but it would be more of a surprise if they made any noise. But the expectation, we were talking a little bit about expectations coming into this season for the Lakers. I didn't have very high expectations. They made some moves, and then all of a sudden here you find them in the Western Conference Finals. It's not uncommon in the NFL where maybe you don't have the most expectations on a team, but they get off to a nice start.
It's the most volatile.
It's the most, exactly. Or a team just barely gets into the postseason and then makes a run. But for the Rams, yeah, I mean, ultimately at the end of the day, is Cooper Kupp going to be healthy? Is Aaron Donald going to be healthy? Even if they are healthy, how competitive is the team going to be? And I'm going to assume that I'll look at it half glass empty than I will full.
You want
right
optimistic Travis or pessimistic Travis when it comes to the Rams?
Pessimistic right now.
Okay, pessimistic is you have Kupp, you have Stafford, you have Donald, and you have nothing else. Right? Those three guys are all high-level players, but literally the rest of your roster is made up of guys that are below NFL standard, right? And you can't – I don't care who the three guys are. It doesn't matter. Football's about those 22 guys, not about the three. You are coming off of a year where you were bad, and your team's a lot worse on paper than it was last year. That's pessimistic, Travis. Optimistic is your offensive line has to be better. It can't be worse.
Sure.
So it just by the law of averages, it's going to be better. Matthew Stafford is healthy. Cooper Kupp is healthy. Aaron Donald is healthy. That the Rams have drafted reasonably well despite going in there. That the division is not good. That the conference is not good. That there are opportunities in there. You have a schedule that is relatively favorable to you at the back end. That if you can kind of somehow find a way to stick around 500 through your first 10 games, and I'm not saying you got 4-6. 4-6 at 10 games, Rams are in a really good spot. They play bad teams down the stretch. 8 wins might get you into the playoffs. 9 wins probably get you into the playoffs. 8 wins for this team, it's not an impossibility. Get hot early, steal a game or two that you're not supposed to have, then wins the one you're supposed to at the end. That's the and then get in the playoffs, and like you just said, see what the heck happens. Not totally out of the question. Unlikely. The other one's probably more likely. The reality is it probably lands somewhere in the middle, and that's the worst.
Well, this would be the first time where you're walking into a season with the Rams and Sean McVay where the expectations aren't, hey,
you're right.
What are you going to do this year? Hey, how are you going to top what you did the season before? They actually don't really have that many expectations.
They have low expectations, right? It's over-under, I think, is 5.5 for them. As far as like being favorite, 6.5. That's what it was. You're right. That 6.5 is their win total, but the games they're only favored in 2 games on paper going into this. 2. Good luck with that. They'll win more than 2, unless they don't want to, which is also a possibility.
NFC's going to suck. So
it's going to be bad.
Yeah.
It's Philly. It's the Niners.
Yep.
Cowboys.
Dallas. Okay.
Maybe Minnesota.
Okay. The Lions are talked about as one of the better teams in the NFC. Go ahead and take that to Vegas and see how you do. There's a lot of opportunities there for them, even if their roster doesn't make a ton of sense right now. The day after, Laker breakdown next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN.
Are you looking
1110 Pasadena, Los Angeles.
710 ESPN.
A Good Karma Brands radio station.
And here we go. It is your Wednesday right now. Travis Rogers, Alan Sliwa. Travis and Sliwa is on. We begin the 9-hour LA Sports Mega Block, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. each weekday.
Here we go.
Live from LA Live. Sweet Tea, Travis Rogers. Hit him in the face, Sliwa.
I'll still take the face.
Travis and Sliwa right now.
I don't know about you, Al. I don't know if it's just that the Lakers season is officially in the books.
Yep.
That we still got a really long way to go in baseball. That we're not even close to the All-Star break. We got like 8 weeks until the All-Star break comes around. Or that it's just in front of my face literally right now, and Herm Edwards is on ESPN talking football. I'm kind of ready for the NFL. I'm ready to go to Irvine. I'm ready to do a little Rams camp. I'm ready for the season to start.
I don't know why. I think a lot of people feel this way. The worst time of the year in the NFL is when you start realizing, like, oh, no, we're getting towards the end.
Yeah.
Because it goes by so quick, right?
Like week 10.
Oh, you're like...
More like 14 for me.
but think about that. What you just said, it's week 12 of the season. I'm like, week 12 already? What the hell happened to the last?
Like double digits is big.
How is this here? And then you get to the playoffs. And playoffs
go by in like 10 minutes.
But they're incredible. They're so good. It's the equivalent of having just this unbelievable dinner, and you're trying to appreciate every single bite, but before you know it, that plate is gone. We're a week into February, and I'm like, that's it.
The anticipation is always the best part when you really think about it, right? Like when it's about to start and it's all laid out in front of you, and you still can talk yourself into, no. If things break right, they can win 10 games. It absolutely can happen.
Sure,
There's a Houston Texans fan out there somewhere going, no, I'm telling you, we got our quarterback situation figured out.
We're just going to be game back in the division. It's week 2.
Fine. Right.
It's a winnable division. But, I'm looking forward to...
Slee scenario doesn't work because once you've seen them play, you're like, no, they suck.
Wait, here's I'm not even talking about your team. I'm just talking about NFL in general.
Yeah.
The NFL, I mean, there's a lot of games. It's one of the few sports where your team is not on, you're still watching the game.
Nothing like it. Nothing like it.
I'm looking forward to meeting all the 100 new players in the Rams this season, but also especially Stetson Bennett. You know, he came off the 2-time national champion, but he was like talking with his hands a lot yesterday in his press conference, and he also talked about, looking up to Matthew Stafford. It was like, he was also a Georgia quarterback. So I'm excited to see the little stuff coming out of OTAs.
I think Stetson Bennett played with Herschel Walker. I think he was there for quite a while. He goes back pre Matthew Stafford. Stetson Bennett's going to be interesting because he's got a little Bobby Miller in him, or vice versa. That they're both pretty comfortable with what they're doing, but the difference is that Bennett's going to tell you about it. That Miller is pretty chill, but kind of radiated confidence. Stetson Bennett's like, no, I'm Stetson Bennett. I'm here to do work. Which I like, by the way. You just got to go do the work.
I was going to say, sometimes your mouth can run louder than your actual play.
His play's been pretty good so far,
and I'm with you on that so far. But there's plenty of examples of guys that run their mouth too much. But.
Encino is our first stop here, and Walrus is becoming a regular. Slee, what's up, Walrus?
So, gentlemen, it's the end of the Lakers season, but it is Mandy's season. Am I correct?
You are.
So if I could just offer a full-throated endorsement of your show, I think you all should sweep the Mandys. I really believe that. I've listened to the station for over 10 years, far back when Michael was on with when Max was on with Michael before Marcellus. And you guys are the most likable, down-to-earth, listener-engaging show the station has ever had, at least in the past decade. If people haven't voted yet, vote straight ticket for Travis and Sliwa. And if I could offer a little live imaging Wednesday material.
Sure.
Yeah. Let's think about this. You all win Show of the Year. You go up on stage, all 4 of you, Travis, Slee, Emily, Taylor, you all get to the mic and you go, I'm him! And that would be epic. Epic.
Thank you, Walrus. Appreciate that.
Oh, please. Thank you all. So, something you were talking yesterday, Travis and Slee, about D'Lo. I don't know if you caught his exit interview where he was talking about his season being a quote-unquote complete success. And I was telling Emily on the phone, like, self-aware much? Like, were you at the game? Did you see you not scoring whatever it was, 6 points? And he looked really sulky on the bench, too. That's a guy who needs to get us at least 15 a night if he's going to be on this roster. So I agree with the idea that if we're going to sign him, it needs to be for the purposes of moving him. I could see that being a guy that LeBron says in his exit interview, you know what, we need to upgrade at that position. So I was telling you yesterday, like for me, LeBron's two things, Rob, you better get us started off immediately in October. And really, I think Anthony Davis, you all talk about him all the time, he needs to get consistent. His shooting needs to get consistent. Like that's, in my opinion, one of the big things that what cost us this series. His shooting was just off. And obviously he needs to stay healthy. So,
thank you,
go for Travis and Sliwa for the Mandy. Thank you all.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. I'm going to hit on his D-Lo thing real quick. I think that exit interview, let me tell you what I would like to have heard as a fan, okay? D'Angelo Russell does his exit interview. If in that interview I would have heard, I expected a lot more from myself in the postseason. I think the team expected a lot more from me in the postseason. As a team, for us to get to the Western Conference Finals, it was great, but I expected more from myself. I should have done more. I wanted to do more. Unfortunately, I picked the point of the season. At least I wasn't consistent enough in the playoffs. And I understand that there were times I didn't get a start to the last one. They had to play the best five. I'm not telling you every person's going to say this, but the self-awareness that he's talking about, I'm so with him on D-Lo. I think sometimes when players could just be real with the media and they could say, I expected more from myself. The fans expected more from him. To say it was a complete success, who you selling on that? Who's going to buy that? Who was sitting there in that interview and saying to themselves, man, this guy's being authentic and real right here. Absolutely, I see where he's coming from.
Yeah.
Can I give you something on Anthony Davis?
Sure.
If there's one thing on AD that you like the player, you don't like the player, you think he's great, you don't think he's great, Anthony Davis, I feel like when he's got a mic in front of him, he's pretty honest.
Yeah.
And he's critical of himself. And I think that actually is a great trait. When AD says, we might get frustrated when he says it, I got to be better, you and I might be looking at each other saying, we know you got to be better.
Yeah.
But at least he's not BSing. I wish D'Lo would have had more moments where he's saying, guys, I didn't live up. They traded for me for a reason. And when they traded for me for this reason, I was supposed to have real expectations I was supposed to come through on and be the third best player on this team. I didn't live up to those expectations. You want those players to be real in those situations. I think there was the true, genuine response I was waiting for from D'Lo I didn't get.
So, okay. I hear what you're saying, Al, and you're putting logic into a situation where it may not apply. What if D'Angelo Russell believes what he's saying? What if he is being honest? That in his mind it was a success, right? That you can think it's not. Mm-hmm. I can think it's not. And I think we both do think it wasn't a success. But I think this is what makes him him, right? This is why I don't think you want him back. This is why I don't want him back. Because I don't think he was up there lying. I think he was up there telling you that he thought it was a success because he thinks it was a success.
How?
Because he's delusional.
Well, I was just going to ask because I think some people can. You're right. The confidence, the this, that.
Yes.
But what's the case to say, hey, this was a success?
Because no matter what he does, he thinks that's the right thing to do. Otherwise, he would become a better defender. Otherwise, he would become a more consistent performer. Only somebody that is on a different team every 5 minutes walks into that press conference and says, yeah, I think it was a success, other than the ball didn't go down enough times, unless you actually believe it. Because you're right, it's just not right. It's deeply, deeply inaccurate. But that doesn't mean he doesn't believe it. You know what I mean? And some of those
That's
guys,
even more frustrating.
And yes, more so than frustrating, it's completely illogical and impossible to change a person's mind who believes. If somebody believes, they're not gaslighting, they're not trying to get you to go.
Yep.
They genuinely believe something that's not true. There's nothing you can do with that, right? That if somebody believes 1 + 1 is 3, what's your argument? That it's not? Yeah, but I think it is. And that could be what this is, that I thought it was a great success, and this is why he's such a really polarizing player, I think, because I think he thinks it was a success. I don't think it was. You don't think it was. But in his mind, he wasn't up there trying to convince people. He believes it. And that's really, really frustrating.
Well, here's the good thing. You could say whatever you want. Doesn't really matter, right? Like I don't think anybody's.
No.
I was just going to say that. Like if somebody comes on, if Austin Reeves is doing his presser and Austin Reeves is talking about how I could have done more, I should have done more. There's a little bit like, Reeves, I don't know if you could have done more. But maybe he believes in his mind, no, there is more that I could have done. There were certain areas and predicaments and experience that maybe I didn't have in my first playoff run. But to do it the other way, the under-promise, over-deliver.
Yep. That's not everybody's personality.
It doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
He could be delusional in his own head, but the reality is the reality.
Yeah.
The reality is he was disappointing in the playoffs.
So after one of the seasons that he won the MVP, I believe it was his first MVP award, I had a chance to sit down with Mike Trout and do an interview, just two of us, and got to sit with him. And I asked him, what's the encore, man? Like, how do you come back and do what you just did and run it back? And he goes, well, I just got to get a lot better. And I'm like, dude, what? Like, to your point, Austin Reeves, like, what are you going to do better than what you just did? You hit 40 homers, but he was the best player in baseball by a factor of 500. And I said to him, what can you get better at? And Al, he ripped off 30 things off the top. Well, I could do this better. I could do this better. It's 2-strike approach. And that's like, he's not looking at himself like I'm the best player in the league by a mile and everybody's got to come get me. He's thinking I can get even better. Well, if that's true, then the opposite is true. A guy who doesn't do a whole bunch of things well could be like, no, man, that was great. It's the exact same thing. It's just on opposite ends of the spectrum. Mike Trout can't actually get a lot better. Because if he would get better, that doesn't exist. He already is one of the greatest players we've ever seen. There's no a lot better than that. Shohei Ohtani, I could be a lot better. No, you couldn't. What else are you going to do? You're already at the top. D'Lo believes
now
what
I
he
wish
said.
D'Lo would have said, guys, there's nothing left for me to accomplish. What else do you want me to do? I've done it all.
Would you fall off your stool if that's what you heard? I'd be like, oh, that's asinine, but I wouldn't be. I'd believe him when he says it. It'll be interesting to see what they do with him because there's value in the contract. There's value in the versatility,
having
the
a player and not having the player.
And then there could just be one of those, no, we can't do this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, no, well, thank you. We're going to move on from that. I think LeBron's coming back. AD's going to be here. Austin Reeves is going to be here. Hachimura is going to be here.
Maybe.
That you just...
Maybe, really. I don't think that's a lock.
I don't think it's a lock, but I think it's very, very likely that he's back. The biggest, I don't know what the heck's going to happen, is Russell.
Mm-hmm.
I really do think it's a coin flip. And do you just want the versatility, the flexibility, or do you want to have him be a part of what you're doing? Because, hey, it was great. Okay,
you can have him a part of it for now.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it doesn't – you could bring somebody back and not necessarily have him be a part of the big picture. Did you see that tweet yesterday? So one of Rob Pelinka's quotes was, our intentions are to keep our core of young guys together.
Yeah.
It's got a photo. There's Reeves, Hachimura, Jared Vanderbilt, D'Angelo Russell. And then Kuz responds, heard that before.
Does Kuz think he's James Worthy or something? Like, did I miss something where he was this unbelievable player and feels like he was done wrong?
No. And he put laughing emojis. I think Kuz actually has a good relationship with the Lakers.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything there.
Good.
But just that actually goes along with Kuz because Kuz was one of the young players.
He was the only guy they really kept.
He was really the only guy that they kept, right? But I love his I've heard that before as if...
Yeah, it's funny. I'm glad you said it, like, because I read it like, oh yeah, I heard that before.
No. He was actually laughing on the tweet. Yeah.
Okay. That's slightly better. Here's a word we haven't talked about yet. The timeline of all this. Like, what is the order of operations moving forward? Because I don't think you can do anything until you get an answer to one particular question. That's next. Travis Lee, 710 ESPN.
All right, when it comes to scoring great hires for your business, you may be up against a few obstacles, especially right now. That's why you need ZipRecruiter on your team. ZipRecruiter's powerful matching technology hustles for you to find people with the right skills and experience for your job and invites them to apply. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So win the hiring game with ZipRecruiter. To try ZipRecruiter for free, go to ZipRecruiter.com/Greeny. That's ZipRecruiter.com/Greeny. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
10 ESPN.
Little Tina Turner right there. Sad news. Tina Turner passed earlier today, 83 years old. An incredible, long, distinguished career, wildly famous and iconic, an electric performer. Tina Turner passed earlier today, 83 years old. Al.
That's sad.
Yeah, she goes back to like the 60s. She was a huge star in the 80s, that she was still doing her thing for that long a time in that particular field. That's pretty remarkable.
83. Yeah, sometimes you kind of look at, that's the first thing that I look at when we hear somebody passes. And I was kind of like tell myself, I'm like, all right, 80s, you get to your 80s, at least you get the full life. I'm thinking about her accomplishments, the full life. It's a beautiful thing as well at the same time.
83 is a good number.
Yeah.
You'd like to go to 103, obviously, but 83, you don't feel like you got, and especially somebody like Tina Turner, that's a full life.
Yeah.
A full life indeed. R.I.P. Tina Turner. We haven't really gotten into, which I think is the number one thing that the Lakers need to decide among the people who make these decisions, right? So Rob Pelinka and his team.
Yep.
Are we trying to have dual timelines through what we got coming next? Are we trying to have the timeline A is LeBron James and maximizing the time that we have left with LeBron James, and that's it, right? That what is the best thing we can do for LeBron in the 2023-2024 season, and every decision we make is predicated on maximizing that in maybe that second year of the player option? Or are we going to try to do the best we can with that, and at the same time we have to start thinking about life after LeBron James for all of the obvious reasons? Number one, year 21. For the first time ever, he cracked the door open about him maybe wanting to not
Never heard
play
it before.
anymore.
Never heard
right?
that.
It's brand new. Do they have one timeline or two? Because you need to figure that question out first before you actually start making personnel decisions.
So I think there's two timelines. I think the timeline of, we talked about a little bit earlier today, I think this upcoming season could very, very well be the last time LeBron James plays with the Los Angeles Lakers. I wouldn't be surprised at all that by the time he gets his player option for the 2024-2025 season, that maybe he is somewhere else. Maybe he is following Bronny. Maybe there's a scenario out there where, guys, I gave it 21 years of competitive basketball. I want my 22nd season to be with my son.
Crazy.
And maybe that's the finale. Maybe for him it's, all right, I'm going to make my 50 whatever, and then I'm done. I'm going to call it a day. But I do think that the timelines that you're talking about, this next season for me, it makes a whole lot of sense if it's its final season with the Los Angeles Lakers, just based upon what he's already told us.
Can I interrupt you right there? Because let's say you're right, okay, that he's got one more and then all bets are off.
Yep.
Do you make decisions this offseason that would be good decisions for next year, but ultimately not good decisions for beyond that time?
Let me give you,
that's the tricky part.
Let me give you an example. I'm going to use Kyrie Irving as an example.
That's exactly the example.
Okay. So Kyrie, let's say LeBron James, I want to play with Kyrie Irving. And Kyrie says, cool, I want to be in LA with the Lakers. Now the question is, well, what's life with Kyrie Irving past LeBron James? Do you want to sign up for that business? I don't.
What if it's your only option? That's kind of what I'm getting at. The option is LeBron says, you guys have to do this, or you're going to lose me. Kyrie says, the only way I do it is if I get my 4 years.
I don't think there's a scenario out there you give Kyrie Irving 4 years. Now, I'm not telling you that I'm opposed to seeing Kyrie and LeBron James play together. What I'm saying is,
keep the two timelines in check.
That's kind of what this whole thing has always been. The Lakers not giving up the 2027 and the 2029 in one of those picks. That was Rob Pelinka saying, guys, I'm trying to put together a competitive roster. I understand we screwed up on Russell Westbrook, and we really hurt ourselves as far as an opportunity to go in another championship run. I'm not giving up both of those picks for Buddy Hield and Miles Turner. Just use those guys as an example. Or whatever pick was out. That was juggling two timelines. I think this upcoming season, you're still in the all-in mentality. You still kind of take chances. You take risks. But to sign a player for a long-term deal that when Bron is gone, you kind of got to start over.
Yeah.
Maybe you got to start over. I don't know the answer.
Well,
maybe they're using Bron's money to go get another superstar and he's playing with Anthony Davis.
Could be, but there's the Anthony Davis component to it as well, which is, do you extend him? Right? That he's coming up for an opportunity to get extended as well. And is he the centerpiece of your post-LeBron life? Or do you just say, look, we're not doing it because everything we're doing is about LeBron James in the short term? What you just described, I think, is the smartest way to do it. It's also arguably the hardest way to do it, to live in both worlds. We talk about it with the Dodgers. The Dodgers are doing something right before your eyes that is virtually impossible to do. They're competing for a World Series, and at the same time, they're completely reconfiguring the way that they do it. That you've got James Outman and Vargas and Miller and Stone and Grove and all of these guys that are the next big
coming
wave.
up through their system.
They're guys, and they're going to go get a Shohei, or at least attempt to go get a Shohei. And here, Kershaw is, aging out, and Trey Turner is gone, and Bellinger is gone, and you're going to see a point where it's just a completely different team. They had two timelines. Here come the kids, the young timeline right now. At the same time, Mookie Betts, we'll just keep him at the top. Freddie Freeman, we'll keep. It's impossible to do. The Dodgers are doing it. That the Lakers are going to try to thread that needle. It's really, really hard because what LeBron needs is in his best interest, and what you need long term may not be the same thing. If you can find a way to make, Kyrie says, "I'll do 2 years." Sure.
Yeah.
Then that's a no brainer.
Yeah.
And it's, as much as I don't want Kyrie on the Lakers, I would probably at least get.
You get the talent you're looking for, and this is kind of like the one shot.
You got to give it a shot.
You got to give it a shot.
You got to give it a shot. Sure, but if there's this, no, I want the bag, and LeBron's like, I want him here. Now which timeline is more important? And I think the LeBron timeline is going to win, and it probably should. It probably should. That he's still that guy, but I think this is what we're getting at. I think that was the announcement, or it wasn't an announcement.
I know what you're saying.
The comment that he made was, hey, guys, I still need what I need.
Yep.
I still need what I need. And even though we had a good year, even though we got further than anybody thought that we would, we're not good enough to beat that team. And I need help, and you need to go get it, or else I have options, and I'll use them.
He's also making a statement on what his numbers are still giving. You guys were having an argument yesterday, you and John. It's tell me the game Bron didn't have. Yeah. No, Bron had bad games. Let's not pretend that he didn't. But Bron is still one of the best players in the league. Yep. Let's not pretend that he isn't that. At the same time, I think for Bron, part of the statement he made a couple days ago, the man had 40, 10, and 9 and played 48 minutes. And you know what he was doing in that? You could just tell. First half he had 30, right? 31, whatever he had. You could tell there's a point where he's looking around saying, anybody else want to help? AD, you showing up in this one? D'Lo, are you coming up? We can't even bring you.
Right.
D'Lo, we can't even bring you off the bench.
No, and you're right on all this, but I want to stop you at the AD part because I think it's like, dude, I gotta have it right now. I just scored 30 points in a half.
Say, look what I just did. Look at my body.
Give me 10 minutes where I don't have to do this. Give me 10 minutes where, ideally, I can go to the bench and recharge. Mm-hmm. But in less than ideally, at least can I just bring the ball up and throw it to you and you go to work? Can we just do that for a few minutes? And I think that's just as big of a part as Kyrie, as any of the other moving pieces. Not that they don't like each other, not that they don't respect each other, not that they don't fit really well together, but just this guy isn't what I need right now. And I need it more than I needed it 3 years ago when we won, because I was 3 years younger. I was in year 17, not year 21.
Plus, I was playing with all vets. I had other guys that were also contributing. And
he was out of gas in the second. Of course he was. He played every second of the entire game, but that they couldn't take him off the court. It's a catch-20. You play him, he's going to run out of gas. You don't play him, you're going to get housed anyway. There's no good option here. But I think that is as much of what his comments were about than anything else. Of just, guys, I can
only do
help.
so much.
I can only do so much.
I can only do so much. And frankly, AD continues to show he's only going to also be able to do so much. So that's where we go back to, if you got somebody taking $30, $31 million of your salary cap and you can't even play him in a Game 4 playoff game where you're giving him 15 minutes or whatever the case is, then that shows just the disparity of where it is.
All right, so speaking of timelines, do the Dodgers have a third one? And could they jump on that sooner than later? That's coming up next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN. Hey, if you get hurt in an accident, this is the number you need to know. Easy to remember. 1-800-9-MILLION, right? Super easy for Sweet James. 1-800-9-MILLION. That's 1-800-900-0000. And when you make that call after truck accident, motorcycle accident, car accident, dog bite, whatever the accident may be, if you're hurt in an accident, call Sweet James. You get nearly 20 years of experience. You get a winning record to the tune of over $1 billion. That's how much he's collected in settlements in that career. You get somebody that knows it inside and out. That's why they've been awarded Best Attorneys in America. Personal injury, it's all that they do. It's not one of the things they do. It is what they do. He knows how the insurance companies operate. He used to work for them, saw what they did, and said, nope, that's not going to happen. I'm going to make sure people get what they're entitled to. Get that car fixed. Get the medical care that you require, and, of course, that settlement. So if you're hurt in an accident, do what I've done and call Sweet James. 1-800-9-MILLION. Easy. 1-800-9-MILLION. That's 1-800-900-0000 and sweetjames.com.
Begins 9 hours of LA sports talk all day long. Each weekday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. This is Travis and Sliwa on 710 ESPN.
The big CY in the house. Television's Clinton Yates swinging by. What's up, Yates? How you feeling today?
Nothing much. Good selection right there. I love this song. Nothing, man. Just chilling, watching baseball. I have something I want to run by you. As a result of Will Smith getting popped in the head by Ozuna.
Can I just change it slightly?
Yes.
In the Will Smith getting popped in the head again by Ozuna.
Repeatedly at this point. Now, it's easy to say, okay, he should move back in the box, as in the catcher's box. It's also easy to say Ozuna shouldn't have that long of a swing. Here's the deal, Slee. I don't know how familiar you are with the regularities of batters in the major leagues, but every single time somebody gets in, watch this, the first batter who gets in the box. They're mashing that line with their back foot in the back of the batter's box, getting rid of it. To the point that by the time you get into the third, fourth, fifth, these guys are a foot behind the actual batter's box. Travis, I don't know how you feel about this. I would paint that line. To me, the back line of the batter's box would be a painted line. as opposed to the rest being chalk. You see this in college games because
it's
the lines are all turf and they're not
Yeah.
moving anyway. That to me would be a safety proponent that I think Major League Baseball should look at from a competition standpoint. You can't have guys getting concussed behind the dish just doing
Well,
their job.
Will Smith got concussed earlier this
Yeah,
season
he
by
did.
taking a bunch of foul balls off of his
Right.
face, right? Which is dangerous enough. The last thing you need is getting bonked on the head.
Every time, by the way, watching him, you're thinking about that.
Oh,
yesterday he had a couple foul balls went off his mask.
Certainly.
It's not apples to apples, but you think it's kind of Tua-y, right? Where it's like once you get a couple, you're kind of waiting for the next shoe to
Yeah.
drop. Last night in the Braves-Dodger game, because both Miller and Strider both throw gas the way that they do, they're trying to get as far back as the umpire will let them. I don't know. Maybe you have to paint it. Maybe you don't. All it would take it's the pitch clock all over again. Just start enforce things.
something.
Yeah.
Just say, guys, no, you're out of the box. Back in. Where's the line? You know where it
You
is.
know
I know
where
where
it
it
is,
is.
right.
You're out of the box. Move up, or we're
The
we're not
paint
gonna do it.
eliminates a problem, though. That's
Yeah,
all, that's
it
all I'm
does.
saying.
But it's about enforcement.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's about also a guy like Ozuna who's got that long ass swing. Let's fix that. That I get it that everybody swings their own way, but you can. It's not that he's just hitting Will Smith. He hits people.
He's been rocking guys for 3 years in the big leagues, but
Yeah,
you know. By the way,
it's a
this series has been fun. I know you guys are watching Blue Review every day, all day, so you know how into it me and Greg have been. But.
Monday through Friday on YouTube.
Yes.
Blue Review, Berg and Yates. What have you? What? Just kind of your takeaways. Trav has been mentioning this, that May was going to be such a challenge for the Los Angeles Dodgers, and here they are. Not surviving,
15 and 6.
thriving.
15 and 6.
There was
in
the
May.
thriving
There
in
was the
May.
macro scheduling issue. There was the micro pitching staff issue, which I thought could easily become a macro issue. And then they get a decent start out of one rookie, and I would say a great start out of a guy in his big league debut. You go 5 innings and get an actual win against the best team in the league on the road.
And how'd you look doing it? He looked
great.
comfortable.
Did you see the Dodgers? They had a video of him doing his walk-in, which is a thing they do on social media now. My man's got a little swag. I was like, oh, this guy is a guy, as we like to say in the baseball world.
This is what I got vibes of yesterday. It's not verbal. It's energy.
Yeah.
It's
demeanor.
Crackle. It's demeanor. He reminded me, and I'm not talking stuff. I'm not talking mechanic. I'm just talking. I'm here to mess you up. You know it. I know it, and it's about to happen. It was Walker Bueller-ish.
Okay.
It was one of these. When Walker Buehler showed up, he weighed 68 pounds, and he comes in. It's the first time I saw him pitch. I'm like, okay, that's a kid that's going to be great. You saw him pitch a couple more times. Like, no. He's good now.
Right.
Like, and he wasn't surprised. Bobby Miller, I think, has that perfect mix of he's chill, but he's not a flatliner. He's engaged and he's competing, and you can feel the energy coming off of him. And I'm not making this comparison because this is one of the greats of all time. There's a little of Pedro Martinez, like, I'm here to mess you up. I'm not just here to get you out. I'm here to kind of take a little piece of you with me.
And pitcher swag is something that I feel like is a highly underrated skill when it comes to the ability to dominate and the ability to get past hitters in terms of, keeping them guessing. I will say this, Trav, and you know this a little bit more than I do. I hope he doesn't fall in love with 3-digit pitches because these guys can catch up to it. I hope he learns a little bit better how to mix it up because everybody in the base can catch up to 100 miles an hour. Maybe not a 105, but you're not getting there yet, and I think he needs to learn a little bit more.
Can I make a case for that? And you're right. But he's not reaching for 100.
No.
He sits at 100.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference.
It's true.
That Ohtani, who's can't wait for him to put on a Dodger uniform. It's going to happen. I'm going to speak it into existence. Ohtani reaches for 100 occasionally.
I would go so far as to say Dustin May reaches for 100.
Dustin May reaches for 100. Miller kind of sits there. And what I mean is his average fastball, and this was in the minor leagues this year, his average fastball is 99.4 miles an hour.
Oof.
So he's just kind of living there.
Right.
Like Julio and Kershaw kind of live 92, 93. Gonsolin's kind of in that area. May's a little higher. Nobody sits at 100.
No.
And he does.
By the way.
That's why I'm okay
That's
with
fair.
that.
By the way, you know what's going on in our lives right now, right?
What's happening?
Oh, it's conference tourney college baseball season, Slee. I'm waking up at 8 a.m. We got
UVA's playing right now.
I'm triple barreling conference tournaments on my screens at home.
Next year, you're going to need a quad box. You know why?
Why is that?
Big West tournament coming to a
Ayo.
ballpark near you
Really?
next year. Yeah.
But UVA's up over Georgia Tech by 1. Also might have innings over. So 1-0 UVA.
I mean, this is where it gets fun because school's out, all the teams are in the same place, neutral site. Sure. Important games, maybe not the most, though, if you've kind of checked out and you're just kind of there. So the kids are having a lot of fun on the sidelines. I love conference tourney college baseball.
It's your time of the year.
Yes. So we were talking, Al and I were talking about the Laker and kind of the dual timeline, right? Like there's the LeBron timeline and there's your organizational timeline and where it all lands. The Dodgers are doing the thing that I think is the most important, not the most important, the most challenging thing. Dual timelines, and you're nailing them both. The Dodgers are competing for a World Series, and they're completely rebuilding their team in front of your face.
Yeah,
it never happens like that. Do they throw in a third timeline, which is basically, let's go grab somebody right now. Let's go get somebody because it's not the deadline. You probably could get something that you want without a ton of competition from some other teams. And they need another arm.
Let me ask you. Okay, you want an arm. Who are you? What are you doing with your staff? What are you saying there? Who goes?
What I'm saying is
who goes?
Dustin May. I'm not counting on him going forward. I hate saying, but I cannot think that I'm going to get real innings.
So you're putting May on the proverbial shelf, and the pickup you want is to replace May.
Yes. Kershaw's going to miss time because he does. And that's fine. And I'm okay with that. Julio is down. Right, so you're the two guys that you can kind of have in the rotation right now that you say, okay, these are my two of my five, are Syndergaard and Gonsolin.
Gonsolin, right? That's not.
Can I ask a question? What would stop the Dodgers from? I don't want to use the word going all in right now, but what stops the Dodgers right now from saying, guys, we got the best record in the NL, we got all these youngsters that we're playing with. Shohei Ohtani's not going to be available at the trade deadline. There's a strong likelihood that you're not competing for Shohei Ohtani. What stops the Dodgers from saying, we didn't go make some moves in the offseason? They had said, I know before the season, let's just get the season started. Let's see what the holes. Why would you not fill those holes if you have some? What would be the reason to stop the Dodgers from doing that?
Well, number one, they're not the Lakers, so the mindset is a little bit different. And I'm not saying that facetiously. What I'm saying is that there's a talent pool issue. You can't just grab anybody because you don't know how they're going to fit in, and because the margins are kind of slim in terms of your ability to compete, you can't take risks on people you don't otherwise know and have scouted yourself the same way. They can probably feel better relying on their minor league system in many ways than they do going out and grabbing somebody who may or may not have been a tweener from somebody else that they were willing to give up. If they're that good, they're playing on somebody's team already probably pretty well. If they're not, you're taking a risk on somebody and potentially upsetting the apple cart of what you've already tried to put together. Injuries are unfortunate. It's not like dudes are just bums. They're not in the place they want to be, and so you don't want to screw up your whole system, although I do think it is time to get somebody, but you can't just start replacing people willy-nilly.
No, and I'm not saying you go out and make a deal for Corbin Burns necessarily. I'm saying you find a guy that can take the ball every fifth day and give you 5 innings.
A workhorse kind of player.
An innings eater guy that doesn't cost you one of your top prospects, that's somebody that you can just put in there. And there's one other reason that they won't do what you just described. They don't need to.
Yeah.
They're in first place. They have the best record in the National League. Why would I spend money that I don't need to just to kind of...
Well, that was with two of your starters that were there and healthy, and now two of those starters may not be there and healthy.
And that's why I think you do kind of a, for lack of a better word, a half measure. Find a guy that's the third guy on the Reds or the Rockies. And I'm just making stuff up.
No, I get it.
That guy that he's a major league quality. He's not super expensive. And by expensive, I mean you don't have to give up your top prospect.
These are where teams like the Washington Nationals of the world come into play. You know what I'm saying? Guys that are sort of around but not necessarily terrible. And you're right. That's what I mean by you don't just mix up the apple cart. If you're already pretty good, you don't just bring guys in for no reason. You saw how that went wrong with a certain person whose initials names are T and B. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want that kind of a scenario just in terms of like, oh, great, this is not what we wanted at all.
I think what they've accomplished already, so impressive. But you got some very important arms that you're not sure if you could depend on going forward. So as much as they've kind of grown a gap, if you have just 2-3 weeks of bad baseball or okay baseball, teams are going to catch up.
Yes.
I think before part of the conversation was they're not going to do anything because they don't want to screw up this Ohtani thing. The Ohtani conversation, I don't think is in the. There's nothing they're going to do that's going to hurt the sweepstakes of Ohtani.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think
which is the best case scenario that
I don't
for
think
them.
You're playing chess with Ohtani. I think you're playing throw the money at the table with Ohtani.
But before there was a little bit of save everybody that you have because you might have to go make a deal for Ohtani.
Sure.
I don't think Ohtani is going to go anywhere before the trade deadline.
I'm not. I think it's so likely that they get him anyway that
Perhaps.
they're just going to wait.
I'm leaning towards Seattle. I still
Seattle's in the mix. San Francisco's in the mix. The Padres and Mets and Yankees. You always
I don't know.
have
The Mets seem unlikely. Anybody with half a brain doesn't go to the Mets unless they're literally paying you 5 times as much as anybody else.
But they might do that. That's my point. That
That's
if,
in play.
If the rate is 55, they say, we'll pay 70. Okay, I got to listen.
Got at least
I got to
gotta take a
listen
look.
real quick because I think, Al, you tell me this. I think you think I'm trolling you when I say this. I still think the Padres are going to factor into this in a huge way at some point this season.
They're a good team.
Do you? Because I think you're like, I don't know what this is. They're playing like crap, and they are, but
they have no. Let me.
Talent wins out, and they're loaded with.
But let me give. You want talent, but you also want guys that. There's some to the Dodgers this year that I think they got grit. They could go down 4-0 a couple nights ago, and the game's not over.
Right.
They got guys that fight. That spark is not there for the Padres.
But there's a lot of different ways.
Maybe it doesn't. That spark is. Nothing has given me an indication that this is a team that's going to fight.
A lot of different ways to win baseball games. I don't think that the Padres are going to end up being the gritty team. They're going to be the team that puts it together, and they're just better. If they have not put it together yet, that's one thing.
Do you think they're going to?
I got to see. It's at 50 games. Let me see 65 games, maybe even.
That's
70.
2 weeks from now.
That's 2. I know. That's what I'm saying. Let me see. Give me another stretch. But I mean, the Dodgers. The other reason too is you don't need to go out and get anybody because you got rookies beating Atlanta. That's the reason why you got a minor league system worth it.
Yeah, they don't need to. Right. Is the best explanation for that.
Exactly.
Compete at the highest level, and by the way, we're totally tearing this thing down and building it back up in front of your face.
Yeah, it's working out.
It's really hard.
Unlike some teams, right, Slee? Lakers? Nope.
Yeah. And you get $300 million, and you get $300 million. And wait, what's our record? That's kind of where they are. I'm going to keep saying it. I'm going to give them even longer than Yates. I'm going to give them to the break.
Okay,
they're going to be all right.
All right.
I don't know if they'll be close enough to run them down. But
they don't even need to. They don't need to run them down.
Well, yeah, and the NL Central is nonsense, so it's not like they're not going to make the playoffs. You know what I mean?
That's the key. Right. Just make the playoffs.
Get in the playoffs, you're fine.
They did it last year. The Dump coming up next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN. Rotolo Chevrolet. Go on in. Go see it for yourself. You've heard me talk about it now for over a year, I guess it's been. Year and a half. And I still haven't run into anything like the customer service I've seen at Rotolo Chevrolet. The moment you walk onto the lot, Mike Capozio and his team, you've seen Mike on TV. He's the dancing guy with Oral Hershiser, right? And Mike and Eddie and Armando and Frank and Michael and right on down the line, Owen, who is that's the salesperson that I bought my car from. They make you just feel great about it. You know what's going on. It's transparent, it's courteous, it's upfront, and you feel good. When's the last time you could say that when you bought a car? And that's why Rotolo Chevrolet has been Dealer of the Year for 13 years in a row, because they take care of you, and you're going to come back time and time again. That's why they're number one in sales volume year after year after year. So if you're looking for that new Silverado, get yourself out to Rotolo Chevrolet in Fontana, right off the 210 freeway, Sierra Avenue exit, and go take a look online too at rotolochevy.com. That's ROTOLO, rotolochevy.com, and tell them that Travis sent you.
Individuals and
we haven't gotten to today. Yes, it's time for the dump.
Let's start with this. The Celtics were able to do something that the Lakers were not. They fought off elimination. They beat the Heat last night. Looked pretty good doing it, too. They played hard. They played well. They sent the series back to Boston. They get Game 5 on their home court where they've had, limited success so far. They lost 2 to Philly. They've lost 2 to Miami.
That's right. Atlanta. Remember the closing game?
Yep. Mm-hmm. So
Butler isn't worried.
But Jimmy Butler is definitely not worried, nor should he be. But this sounds so stupid and so obvious. Last night was the one that at least starts it off because now they look, can we win at home? Of course we can. Now all we got to do is win one more time in Miami. Any chance at all that the Celtics do something that's never been done before and come back from an 0-3 hole?
So when we have we were doing this with the Lakers, right? All right, just send it back to Denver. And you know what? You had close games against Denver, and then after that, you just try to send it back to L.A. And it sounds so easy. Like, it sounds so simple. I do not think Boston was incredible from the three-point line yesterday. All they have to do is just have one night where their guys are not hitting. They're still down 3-1. Miami does have a certain pedigree. I think the fact that Eric Spoelstra has kind of ran circles around from a coaching perspective, I don't think all that stuff just went away. I think Boston played a good game. You got to still do it 3 more times. So
that's it, right? This idea of can they? Well, sure, I guess that anybody can. There's a reason you're down 3-0 in the first place. Mm-hmm. And it's not because the other guy got super lucky 3 times in a row. It's because they're pretty good and they're playing better than you. And to have it just switch all of a sudden is incredibly unlikely. I do think that the Celtics are in a much different spot than the Lakers, though, that because the Celtics were supposed to win the series. Miami is the 8th seed. The Celtics were the number 2. That the Celtics were the team that has these 2 megastars in Brown and Tatum that are supposed to play like this. The Heat are not going to panic. That even if the Heat lose tomorrow night in Boston and now it's 3-2, you think Eric Spoelstra is panicking about what's going on? Pat Riley's panicking about what's going on, and they're going to set the tone. Their very best guy, Jimmy Butler, he didn't give a damn. Mm-hmm. He's going to be just fine.
He was like, we're going to drink some wine, have some beers, laugh, and be ready for on Thursday.
No, I would love to see somebody do it. I don't want the Celtics to do it, but this just feels like the gentleman's sweep rather than the beginning of the real thing.
If you told me that Miami won Game 5 in Boston, I honestly would not be surprised. No. I would not.
No, they've lost 5 home games in the playoffs
and
so far.
I go back to this, that give Boston all the credit in the world. They won that game yesterday. They make it a little bit more interesting. We got another game before the final start in 7 weeks. But with all that being said, I still think Miami will get it done.
Here's the Chuckster on the Nuggets saying they don't get nearly enough respect.
I was so mad this morning I actually turned the TV off because the Denver Nuggets, who have been the best basketball team in the world all season, sweep, get to the finals for the first time. And listen, we all love LeBron. He didn't say he was retiring yet. When he does that, we'll do all that stuff. But it should have been all about the Denver Nuggets and Joker, Jamal Murray, Michael Porter, and those guys.
You buy that?
Yeah, buy it. My problem is he is arguably the biggest NBA voice, and he just spent 1 minute complaining that they're not covering the Nuggets. Just cover the Nuggets then. Everybody listens to that show. Everybody listens to Charles Barkley. If he'd have just come out and just used all his energy on covering the Nuggets, instead he did what Michael Malone was doing a couple games ago and took the attention almost away from the Nuggets.
Well, it's funny. You've said this before, and I think it's so true, that the Lakers are such a – I don't even know what the word – they're a brand that's bigger than the league itself, right? That the Laker brand is – bigger than the NBA brand.
Global brand, yep.
So, of course, us, but everyone else is going to talk about the Lakers and then throw on top of the fact that LeBron James is on the Lakers.
Sure.
And then throw on top of the fact that LeBron James just dropped a breadcrumb that I might not want to play anymore. Probably not going to talk about Michael Porter Jr. it's probably not coming
Bruce
up.
Brown's contributions off the bench. That's probably going to take a second.
Lakers.
And, oh, by the way, the finals don't start for a week from tomorrow or whatever
November
it is.
1st is when they tip it
June.
Yeah. It's a long way away.
Did you ever hear David Stern's answer to what his dream finals would be?
Lakers against the Lakers.
Lakers versus Lakers. That's all you need to know.
But isn't that amazing that Barkley was so upset that nobody's talking about the Nuggets that he spent a minute talking nothing about the Nuggets, mixing in the Lakers. I'm like, Barkley, you are the biggest name when it comes to the microphone in sports. You talk about them.
The TNT crew, the Mason and Ireland show, the Travis and Sliwa show, ESPN, Fox, take your pick. These are ratings-based operations. The Lakers rate.
Play the
LeBron
hits.
rates, right? Michael Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon, less so.
It's like the Cowboys. Okay, sorry, we
Right?
don't care about the Jaguars doing so well when the Dallas Cowboys
I did when they
can
beat
do
the
that.
Chargers.
Oh, it's amazing. Amazing night.
I don't know if this is still the case, but this will tell you all you need to know to kind of piggyback on your point. For years, we pay, just a little inside baseball here, but we pay the Lakers a rights fee to carry their games. Rights fees are very big in sports. The Clippers paid to be on the air.
Yep.
Yeah.
In other words, they didn't receive any money. They had to pay to get their games on there. That's the difference.
Yeah. And the Nuggets probably get a fee, but it's not the Lakers
I don't think
fee.
so.
No, they
I
have
don't
to
think
pay
they do.
to
Yeah, I
clear
think it's what's known as a revenue share. Like
Oh,
if they
okay.
make money, they get a part of it. But
Portion of it, yeah.
yeah.
Happy birthday to Slee. I know he's one of your favorites. John C. Reilly turns 58 years old today. Your favorite John C. Reilly movie?
Step Brothers.
Step Brothers?
Yeah, Step Brothers is my. That's just kind of like the
Talladega
go-to
Nights?
of all.
Boogie Nights for me.
Boogie Nights?
Yeah.
Reed Rothschild?
Oh, yeah. We were talking about it yesterday. One of the
Chicago?
great movies of all time.
Not Chicago. You said nominated for Oscar, right?
Or I thought he was. I need to double check that. I might have
I
said
think
it
he's
this
going to
morning.
win an Emmy for playing Dr. Bus
When does that come back?
on
Do you know?
Winning Time. I know they're shooting it now.
So it's a ways away.
Yeah.
He
They're
was
still
great on Winning
shooting
Time.
it.
I saw him one time at a restaurant in Pasadena. This was, I don't know, years back. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't do anything. But you want to go up to him, you want to say, hey, man, really love your moves. And listen, but kind of the vibe has a lot
You
to
mean
I
you
just
didn't
did
do
nothing.
what I did when I once physically bumped into Steven Spielberg outside of Dive Restaurant in Century City? The greatest film director of all time. I was waiting for Lisa. I turned a corner and I bumped. I go, I'm so sorry. I go, Steven Spielberg, wow. Love your restaurant. And the restaurant was terrible. He goes, thanks.
Yeah, not E.T.
If that was an audition, that was the most blown
John?
audition of all time.
Your best work
Love
is still
your
in
restaurant.
front of you. If that
Yes.
were an audition,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Do you know how many times I've used that since you told? I love that.
That's it. Shout out to my friend Danny Farag, who is a movie producer. Danny is the one who came up with that.
It's terrific.
If somebody auditions and they blow it, and the agent calls and goes, "Hey, how did Alan Sliwa do in that audition?" Can I be honest? Yeah, of course. His best work is in front of him.
That's a great way.
It's
That's
such
a
great,
perfect delivery.
I've used it with my kids. I've used it for meals. I've used it. My best meal is still in front of me.
It's such a backhanded.
It's ruthless.
Yeah.
Like when you really stop and think about it, it is just cutting someone's throat. It is absolutely brutal.
And insulting them without like openly insulting
At first
them.
you're like, oh, okay, and then you kind of take a step back, and it's a totally different.
And also,
thing.
I forgot that I was right. Why did I doubt myself? He was nominated for Best Supporting Actor in Chicago.
Yeah, I got to go with Ireland. I think that it's Reed Rothschild, a close second with Step Brothers, but he's okay.
Mason's going to agree with me, I think, but Talladega Nights is a very close
Yeah, he's
second.
great.
It's
He's
great.
great. Great.
So John C. Reilly, greatest movie. I said Boogie Nights 1, Talladega Nights 2. Do you agree?
I will agree.
Step
I will
Brothers
be
has to
unanimous
be-
on that.
has
I know
to be-
people love Step Brothers, but Talladega Nights is such
Talladega
a
Nights is great.
classic.
Boogie Nights. Okay, so here's the thing.
I'm gonna come at you like a spider monkey.
They have. He's been nominated in Chicago for an Oscar.
My smoking hot wife and
So-
my two kids, Walker and Texas Ranger.
He obviously has comedic chops. He obviously has dramatic chops.
By the way,
right?
just as an aside, I saw him do. There's a play called True West when I was living in New York. Philip Seymour Hoffman and
Wow.
John C. Reilly, and they were two brothers, and they switched roles every night. So one would play one role, then the other, and
That's
they would
bananas.
switch every night. That's how great an actor he is.
So here's my question about Boogie Nights and Reed Rothschild. Is that a dramatic role or a comedic role?
Yes.
Both.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because he's playing it straight, but it might be the funniest performance he's ever delivered.
Yeah, and
He's not trying to be funny like you are in Step Brothers and Talladega Nights.
You end up by the end of that movie, you end up rooting for all those characters because they're just so damaged, and it's funny.
And Roller Girl.
When he's the magician, you're like, he finally found his place in life.
Yeah.
I listened to the director's cut back. You remember when DVDs came out and there
Paul
were all
Thomas
these
Anderson, sure.
and basically they said Luis Guzman who's in that movie, was stoned the entire time.
Good for him.
Looked like it. Put me in a
He
movie, Jack.
did the Culture Pop podcast. I believe he was stoned. If I'm not mistaken.
You had Luis Guzman?
Luis Guzman, yeah.
I watched a movie with him in it last night. So, Netflix. Let's do this. Let's do a little super crosstalk.
ESPN AM 710 Los Angeles. KRDC AM 1110 Pasadena, Los Angeles.
K256CX 99.1 FM Pasadena, Los Angeles.
It's the greatest segment in LA sports radio history.
Oh my God. When the shows come together for magic on the radio.
It will only grow stronger. Super Crosstalk.
Are we ready for Mason and Ireland to join Travis and Slee?
Super Crosstalk begins.
Super Crosstalk presented by In-N-Out Burger. In-N-Out. That's what a hamburger is all about.
It's time for Super Crosstalk.
We're very big fans.
So, you mentioned that Luis Guzman was on the Culture Pop podcast. Netflix, because they're evil geniuses, they've got the thing figured out. They kind of know what you like.
Yep.
And then they just start playing something. You open the app and something just starts playing at the top.
Yes.
Traffic started playing at the top yesterday.
Oh, such a good movie.
There goes 2.5 hours.
Well,
just
this is
gone.
what I was talking about the other day, that you guys were making fun of Joe Mazzulla because he watches The Town 4 times a week.
A week, John. That's the key part.
But if I'm surfing, like, I'll give you an example. I have seen the movie Almost Famous at least 50 times. And every time it comes on...
From beginning to end 50 times?
At least.
Okay.
If I see it on the grid, I'm in. And I know exactly what's going to happen.
Sure.
I think it's one of the 20 favorite movies of my life. I'm a big Cameron Crowe guy. So I think it's a little weird that Joe Mazzulla,
sits down and watches The Town from beginning
pulls
to end
it
4 times a week.
So I assume he either pulls it up on a stream or he has
Not
a DVD.
tape on the heat.
Yeah.
Yeah, not tape on the heat, exactly.
But if I have DirecTV, so if I'm going
Me
through
too.
the grid and there's probably...
You would not watch it 4 days in a row. You
No.
wouldn't. You
Almost Famous? I might.
I really
You
don't
might.
think you
I
would.
might.
Do you do? Is
I
a lot of
love
it? Is a
that
lot of it
movie.
when you're traveling too?
Yeah, always.
Yeah.
Well, and part of it, this is where it was born, because you just did this. You were just at an Airbnb when you were in Denver. Whatever the offer is in the hotel room, because I'm in a hotel room 100 nights a year.
There's Mario Lopez.
You
He's
don't
selling
have
you something or other.
You don't have
He's in all of them.
He's in every hotel.
all your normal channels. So there's a certain amount of movies that just kind of rotate on TBS and TNT and
They know
Comedy
the
Central.
hits. They know the hits.
Yeah.
You know what movie I've seen a bunch? First of all, Casino is the movie I've probably seen more than any other movie. I see Mean Girls a lot,
Love
Yeah,
which
it's on
is
a
a
lot.
great
That's on a
movie,
lot.
but it's on E! Entertainment back to back to back.
Okay, we may
Gretchen, stop trying to make
Not
fetch
gonna
happen.
Yeah.
we may have stumbled into the movie I would watch 4 times a week, which is Mean Girls.
Oh, so
There-
funny.
It's funny. It's
Start tonight.
Everything about it.
I
is
love
pretty
those
terrific.
bars that make her really
The Swedish
fat.
weight game,
Yeah.
the wrestling bars.
So good.
And
So
my
good.
coach makes us eat these when he's trying
Well,
to
it
make
was,
us make
remember,
weight.
Emily, you
Caltine,
remember this.
thank you.
Remember when Katy Perry and Taylor Swift were feuding, and Katy Perry said about Taylor Swift, "Beware of Regina George in wolf's clothing," and everybody knew exactly
Yep.
what she was talking about. Which is weird.
It is a classic.
Did they? By the way, did they make? They had to make up. They're both nice.
Yeah,
I mean, right?
they've made up since. Obviously, Katie isn't nearly as much in the ether anymore.
What was
the
it?
pop
It was
culture.
Katie
had to do a
stole
little
a couple of
heat at
Taylor's
Katy Perry.
backup dancers, right?
Other
Yeah, it
other
had
way
to-
around. I think Taylor took some of
Yes.
Katie's.
Yeah.
backup
I knew it had something to do with backup dancers, and then there's both Bad Blood written about it, and there's a couple other songs, but yeah, it's
Which
squashed
side of it?
since.
Emily, I know which side of the beef that you were on. What about you, Mace?
I'm pro T Swift.
Yeah, you're part of the T Swizzle Army.
T Swizzle.
Can I
absolutely.
say something? And maybe I'm wrong about this. I don't know, but I've always been super attracted to Katy Perry, and
Sure.
my sense is that other men are not like me. Am
Oh,
I wrong?
no, she's
You're
beautiful.
wrong.
Okay.
She's very pretty.
You're wrong.
Yeah,
she's very
I
pretty.
love her.
Yeah,
Yes.
no, she's
I just
beautiful.
love her attitude,
Yes.
like her music, think she gets it.
Quasi local.
By the way,
Santa Barbara.
by the way, her real name is Kate Hudson.
Is it
Oh,
really?
that is so
Is
weird.
Catherine Hudson.
Yeah,
One
that
of
is
those
so weird.
no two people
Yeah.
in Hollywood can have the
You
same
are,
name.
yeah,
deal?
you can't register as whatever. Like, is there a Travis Rogers?
No,
if you
I-
go to IMDb, have you searched?
I am that one. Like, because we're SAG-AFTRA people. So
do you have a page?
I don't have a IMDb page.
No.
But when you fill out your SAG paperwork,
Yeah.
you have to put in your legal name.
Right.
And then your stage name, right?
Yeah.
And if you're the stage name you want is taken, they kick it and they say pick a different one.
Right.
Yeah, so the way I got around that was I just said, I'm John Ireland Jr., which is true. My dad's name was John, but there was a good actor named John Ireland, a Canadian guy in the 50s. He has a star on the Walk of Fame.
No kidding.
That I tell people is mine.
You should put a little Laker
Yeah.
logo over, like a sticker over.
Well, no,
whatever.
people think it's me. Yeah, people send me pictures of it and go, wow, good for you. Can't believe it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
and I
much.
was
Yeah, it's
right.
good.
I go, Mason hates this. He's jealous.
I
And
can't
I never say
stand
it's
it.
not me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't stand it.
You should start a campaign to get one.
Oh,
You know-
Don't
wait
you
a minute.
just have
Where
to
have
pay
you,
it?
Where have you been?
No, I know,
There's
but
been
like,
a 20-year
it
campaign
feels like it
for
comes
him to
and
get
goes.
one.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Don't you
So,
just buy it?
We were talking to one of
Yes.
the new people yesterday, Amanda Gifford, and Amanda. We were pointing out it's 20 years next year. Now, would for me and John at ESPN and 31 years, I think, together, would it not be the appropriate time to get a star and
Yes.
have the company pay for it? 20 years.
I don't think it's
20 years.
It's an incredible accomplishment and
Sam!
worthy of celebration. You need to cut the check.
Mason, was that
It's
one
like-
of those?
I don't know if this is still the price, but I know a couple of people who have cut the check, as you say.
Yeah.
And it was $25,000. Is
No
it still
way.
25
Oh,
grand?
it's got. I'm sure it's gone up.
Yeah.
If it
I'm
were
sure it's gone
25,
up.
would you consider it?
Well, here's the weird thing.
He absolutely would
I
consider
would
it.
definitely consider it. I would
If
probably,
ESPN paid for it.
even if I had to take a second mortgage.
Not one dime.
Yeah.
No.
I would not pay one dime.
You already have one.
Yeah, I
You
know.
have one. That's the- that's
Mace, you
it.
should have done that yesterday with Amanda Gifford. You're talking about,
Yeah.
right? You should have. It's almost like a timeshare.
Yeah.
Where she
Wait
walks
a
in.
minute.
Hey, can I get you a cup of coffee? Can I?
No,
can I
are
get
you
a
under the
cookie or
impression
something
that,
like that
Mason hasn't asked every boss we've ever had to help him get a star on the Hollywood
Please
Walk
take a
of-
seat right here. Can
It
I
really
get you
would
something
be
from
a
the vending
top
machine?
3
Okay,
thing in
now,
your
I
life.
don't always poo-poos this story, but this is the honest-to-God truth. When I was talking to my grandfather while he was still alive, God bless Eugene Santa Cruz, 6th Avenue, Altoona, Pennsylvania. He asked me one time, do you have one of those stars on the in
so
Hollywood?
great.
And I
That's so
said,
good.
no, Grandpap, I don't. He said, well, when you get one, I'll be there.
But that,
And I thought-
by the way, that's the story you tell if you ever get one. You know, there's a presentation and blah, blah, blah. So
exactly.
that's the story, and everybody will go,
That's the idea.
Who was the guy that was the unofficial mayor of Hollywood for years?
Johnny Grant?
Johnny Grant.
Yes.
That's what it is.
He can't still be alive.
I
can
don't
he?
think
No.
so. And if he is, he's extremely old. So, but is there a person that's in charge of this that we can?
Oh, yeah. No, you can go to the website and apply. But you just have to
So
pay.
literally, Al and I could, instead of Abbott and
You have
Costello,
to have,
we could have Trav
You
and
have
Slee.
to have some form of notoriety,
Yes.
which you guys
You
both
guys do. You guys do.
absolutely. If you guys cut the check,
Al?
you'd be in.
Right, I would be so
12
We
and a
used to
half
work-
grand.
He's
We
the money
used
guy.
to work-
Yeah, he's the money guy.
We used to work with a really nice man. He's no longer with us, named Dan Avey, and he
Oh,
was
yeah,
the
Dan's
color
a great
man
guy.
with Bob Miller on the Kings broadcast.
Okay.
Bob and Dan did TV and radio for the Kings. And when we were in the old ESPN building on La Cienega, Dan, was he at KBC, Mace?
Yes,
Is that why we saw him every day?
Yep, 790 KBC.
And Dan got a star on the Walk of Fame, and he really enjoyed it. I mean, I don't know if he paid for it, if somebody else paid for it. There are people that are less famous than any of us that
Yeah.
have stars on the
I think I'll
Hollywood
put it
Walk
on
of Fame.
layaway. Do they still have layaway? Where you pay a little
Put it
bit,
in,
then pay a
like
little
they
bit
put in
more?
the points first. And then the last
Like I
thing they
talk
do-
about at Barbecues Galore, extended financing if you want to buy a Weber.
Is that layaway? Does layaway still exist?
Sure.
Sure.
There might be like
I
a.
think they call it extended financing now.
The last thing they do is they put your name on it.
Yeah.
They've got everything. They got the little radio icon.
Yes.
You know, Trav,
Finally fill in the
that's the
middle.
new thing at golf courses because golf took off during the pandemic, and to join any private golf course now is a
forget it.
fortune. So what they do is they let you pay it over time. So let's say it costs $100,000 to join, and they say, well, we'll give you 5 years, give us $20,000 a year. So just tell the Hollywood Chamber of
tell
Commerce,
Hollywood.
give me 5 years, I'll give you $5,000 a year.
Zero
in.
down.
Can I just say, have you been to Hollywood Boulevard lately?
I went last summer for the first time in 30 years. I
Em,
went
you've
last
been there?
summer.
Yeah, I went to see the show at the Fonda a couple weeks ago.
It is a grungy,
Yeah, I know.
grimy, dump Hollywood
It's
Boulevard.
kind of turned into what Times Square
Yes.
used to be
Used to.
before
Yes.
they cleaned it up.
It's really kind of awful souvenir stores.
Yep.
And it's got the worst like knockoff Spider-Man and Mickey Mouse
Yep. Yes,
impersonators
they do.
you're ever
They
going to see
do.
in your life. And it's honestly kind of a drag.
But here's
like
the-
you walk out of there a little depressed.
Everyone wants to go there when they come to LA.
Correct.
And then that's it. Like
When-
then you don't have to go again. It's like, all right, I'm
when
never
I
doing that again.
moved to LA, that was the first place I went. I wanted to go there, and I wanted to see a movie at the Chinese Theater, and I did. And you know what movie it was? Classic.
Star Wars.
Planes, Trains, and
Oh,
Automobiles.
okay.
So you know what the weird thing is? So Lisa's family is all from Idaho, and whenever they come out here, the only thing they want to do is go to one of Lisa Vanderpump's restaurants. I'm not kidding.
In Beverly Hills?
Yeah, like so we can take them to Pump, which is closing. It may have closed already. Sir, Tom, that's all they care about. We did it all last time they were here.
So what the thing we did last summer, my family, we did kind of like a tourist vacation.
Stayed here,
in
right?
LA.
You
We
stayed here. Yeah.
Stayed
Cool.
here at the JW. We went on a hike
Dodger
at the
game.
Griffith Observatory, went to a Dodger game, went to Central Market downtown
Oh,
for a
that's
meal.
cool.
We went to LACMA. Like we did the whole super touristy thing.
Right.
And the highlight, old school, I believe it's the oldest restaurant in Los Angeles.
Musso and Frank?
Musso and Frank.
Oh, Musso and Frank
Did
is
it survive
awesome.
the pandemic?
It did.
Yes, it
Okay.
did.
It
It's
did.
still, and it's really hard to get in.
There's a line around the block.
Yeah.
So they have reservations, but you can line up to get like the first seating of the after. It's like 4:30.
Yeah.
There's nothing but people from Kansas and the Rogers family in line to get into that.
But
thing.
that was one of when I was working with Tom Snyder. That was one of his favorite restaurants, and
Yeah.
he said, "Tell you something, kid.
Good
The best steak tartare in town."
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Classic.
terrific
Classic.
martinis along the way. All right. Day after the day after.
Yeah.
Right? Are we kind of where we were yesterday as far as just kind of trying to figure out what's happening next? Because I thought a day later, I didn't read one thing, didn't hear one person give consideration to LeBron actually not playing. Right? That
Yes.
the idea was why did he say what he did? Could it be he takes a year off? Could it be that he's
I don't think
leveraging?
it's 0%.
You don't think it's 0%?
No.
You think there's a
I think it's a very strong possibility that he plays again next year for the Lakers. But think about this, guys. LeBron is a ridiculously successful businessman.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I read one story that said if he retires, he's leaving $100 million on the table. The guy's a billionaire. $100 million to him is not a big deal, and he's going to continue to make money after he's done playing. He may buy a team. He's already
The
said
Vegas team
he
is on
wants
his
Yeah,
radar.
the
Yeah.
Vegas team is
Yeah.
the thing he wants. Yeah.
So he doesn't need to play in order for him to.
He's still so good though.
Right. So what I think too is he knows he's so smart basketball wise that he knows he can't replace that level of competition in his life. That's what every great player tells you, that you just can't replace
Never have a
it.
high like that again.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so I think he probably plays, but if he's tired or if he just didn't want to play,
So-
it's
Injured?
It is an option.
And he is injured, right? He has a foot
Yeah.
injury that needs to get fixed, and who knows how much time that takes. But let's take plays next season for the Lakers off the table.
Okay.
Okay. That what is the
We're
most,
assuming that's happening.
that is the overwhelming favorite, most
Okay.
likely thing happening.
Okay.
What's next on the list? Would that not play, sit out a year, play on a different team? Like what is the next most
I think
likely
all
option?
all those things are in play. He could. I heard one person suggest. I don't know if Bronny is good enough to be a one and done college player, or if he's got to stay more than 1 year at USC. But LeBron, if he was hurt or if he had surgery on that tendon, I could see him at least considering following Bronny around for a year and letting that foot heal, and then his options become available. He has a player option to get out at the end of next season, and then he can go wherever he wants. So I think that these things are all possible. My prediction is that he plays, and he plays for the Lakers next year.
What about you, Mace? What's the most likely thing that's not plays for the Lakers next year?
I think that's not is that he takes the year off, that he waits for Bronny, that he comes back and plays and does sort of a farewell tour 2 years from now.
Kind of like what Kobe did.
Like
Yeah.
Kobe did.
Yeah.
And that's it. And he's playing with his kid, and he's going on his
so
farewell tour and
other
all that
team
stuff.
is last on your guys' list? Plays on a different team next year?
That is my last.
Yeah, not impossible, but very unlikely.
What about you?
He
Al?
would have to ask for it.
I think just too good not to play. I think too good to take a year off. Put it that way. I ultimately.
So you're on other team then. If
he's not playing
Lakers
for the
is
Los
off.
Angeles Lakers, his final game he went 40-10-9 and played 48 minutes. And I know the Lakers couldn't extend the series, but he's just still so good, still can offer so much. And I get you're right, John. He's got more money than he knows what to do with. But $100 million is $100 million.
By the way, I
$100 million is $100 million.
$100 million is $100 million.
Look how casually we say that.
I mean, it is $100
and he
million.
has.
If you're Jeff Bezos, it doesn't mean anything.
Right, but Jeff Bezos is worth 20 times what LeBron is.
Right, but LeBron's a billionaire.
He is.
Right.
But you could also, and LeBron,
if he really wants to buy a team, $100 million.
It's meaningful.
Yeah,
and so is his philanthropy. He is a philanthropist, and $100 million to throw at something you care about is not nothing. Even if you are a billionaire, I got $100 more million to go build how many more schools or
right.
finance
if he was
how many more
averaging
educations?
if he was averaging 12, 4, and 4,
Different conversation.
I would kind of consider maybe he's done. He's still so freaking good.
Yeah, he is.
Reed Rothschild is the right answer to the question about
the John C. Riley question. Now, what about as Dr. Buss in Winning Time? That's got to be up there.
It's good, but it's not on.
But it's underrated.
Did you see the promos coming out?
Do you know when it's coming? When?
I don't. I saw a promo on HBO. It came on before Succession, I think.
Good.
But it is coming back.
Zastro, was he in the promo?
I did not see Zastro, but that doesn't mean he's not there.
Boo. More
doesn't mean he's not
Zastro.
there.
Super Crosstalks powered by In-N-Out Burger. That's what